All right, and we are live. We are live. Here we go. Oh, wait, 1 second. Hold up. Nope, I think we're good. We're good. Yep, we're good. Okay, cool. Sweet. There we go. Alrighty, welcome in. Hello. Welcome to episode 7 of the PAWCAST. Welcome in, everyone. Hello, how you doing? Welcome. It is great to see you guys. Hello, how we doing? Hopefully you guys are having a wonderful Friday, man. It is the end of the week. If you guys were doing any schoolwork, if you guys were doing any work, if you guys were doing any yard work, if you guys were doing any college work or helping a friend move or anything like that, man, hopefully everybody had a great week, and hopefully now everybody has the ability to hang out, chill, and vibe now that it is the end of the week. Hopefully everybody can have a nice, cool, relaxing weekend. Hopefully everybody can have a nice, cool, relaxing weekend. But welcome in, man. Welcome. It's great to see you guys. Hello. Alrighty. Now, hopefully everything is looking and sounding good. Hopefully we are good to go. Alrighty. So my name is Oborrok. I am known as the White Wolf. My community is known as the Galactic Wolf Pack. Everything we do is based on the foundation of positivity. There is no judgment whatsoever. We hang out, we vibe, we have a good time. Sometimes we play video games. Sometimes we do a podcast like we're doing right now. Sometimes we just chat and we just talk. We just talk, man. Sometimes we bring on reptiles and we talk about the reptiles and we hang out with them. It's a good time, man. Thank you very much for hopping in here and joining us. If you guys are watching this live, Rise and Eternal, I see you guys. Welcome. Thank you very much for being a part of the live experience. If you guys are coming back to this and you are watching it once it is a VOD on YouTube, or if you are listening to this on Spotify, that's right, the podcast is on Spotify as well. If you're listening, if you're watching live, either way, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your time. We appreciate you very much. Thank you so much for being here. Today, we are going to be, so first of all, it is our 7th week. It's our 7th week. It is our 7th episode. We do this every single Friday at 1:30 p.m. PDT on YouTube. So if you guys are watching this on YouTube once it is a VOD, or if you are listening to this, if you're listening to this on Spotify, and you guys would like to be a part of the live experience, again, we do this every single Friday at 1:30 p.m. PDT. That is when we're doing the live experience. If you guys would like to check that out, we'd love to have you guys here. But yo, what is going on, Kawalo? How you doing, my man, as well? Welcome. Yo. What's going on, Kawalo? Also, thank you so much for the likes. Everyone that has dropped the likes on the stream so far, thank you very much. We appreciate the likes very much, man. Thank you. Alrighty. So let's get into this, man. The theme of the week. So this is our 7th week, 7th episode. Do this every Friday, all right, on YouTube, 1:30 p.m. PDT. Our 7th episode, our 7th topic, okay, is leaving in 60 days. And yes, you did nail it, Eternal. You did nail it. So this topic is going to be about when we had to pick up and leave 14 years of life in 60 days. We had to pack it up and we had to move the last 14 years of our life in 60 days, and we had to find a new home. We're going to talk about all that today. We're going to talk about the fear, the struggle, the triumphant ending, and how everything turned out to be positive in the end. But we're going to go through all of the scary moments and everything that happened from start to finish. It's going to be a good time. So if you guys are wondering what the podcast is, the podcast is a podcast that me and my buddy Eli have wanted to create for a really, really long time. My buddy Eli has not been able to join me on these episodes as of yet, but he will be in the future. He's trying to work out his work schedule, but this is a co-hosted podcast. It is me and my buddy Eli as well. That's my brother right there. So we both do the podcast, and he hasn't been on an episode yet, but he will be in the future. But what the podcast is it is something that Eli and I wanted to create by wanting to talk about, because we've always been streamers, and we've talked about different stuff and all that kind of stuff, but we wanted to have a moment where we had a very focused period of time where we could talk about stuff in a in a greater light. You know, we could talk about it in a greater light. We could talk about it in more detail. We could talk about things we're very passionate about. We could bring on specific guest stars, friends, homies, other people that we know in the industry of streaming, or, you know, what have you. So that is what the podcast is. It is us talking about things we're very passionate about. It is us talking about, in this case today, talking about stories. Today we're going to be talking about a story. This is going to be a specific life experience that myself and my family went through. So sometimes we're going to talk about stories. Sometimes we're going to talk about gaming. Sometimes we're going to talk about streaming. Sometimes we're going to talk about reptiles. We're going to talk about all kinds of stuff. There's going to be a wide variety of topics. There's going to be a wide variety of guest stars as well. So far, we have had on Mama Wolf is sitting right next to me, but well, not right next. She's sitting across from me. She's sitting across from me, but she will be sitting right next to me here soon. But we've had this. So this is the third episode. This is the third episode we're having on Pattihealthyfitness, or also known as Mama Wolf, my mom. But we are going to continue bringing her on and talking with her. We are going to continue bringing on other guests as well in the future. We're trying to set up some times and days that work for other guests as well. You know, working within a Friday and that kind of stuff. So there are going to be other guest stars. Sometimes it's just going to be me. Sometimes it's going to be Mama Wolf and I. It's going to be a good time. It's going to be a good time. Thank you guys for being here. We appreciate you very, very much. Now, if you guys would like to check out any of the other socials, if you guys, again, are listening to this on Spotify, if you're watching this once it is a VOD on YouTube, or if you're a part of the live experience, either way, if you guys would like to check out any of the other socials, we are on Twitter, TikTok, we are on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. All of those are at Oborrok, so at Oborrok, if you would like to check out any of those. And again, if you are on YouTube, if you're watching this once it is a VOD, or if you're watching it live, then those will be linked in the description down below. All those are linked. You can click on those. It'll take you right to them. But also, we do stream. We don't only stream the podcast, but we also stream games. We stream games to the community, the Galactic Wolfpack, and we have a lot of fun doing that. If you guys would like to be a part of the live experience where we are playing Fortnite Zero Build, or we're playing Cyberpunk 2077, we're playing The Witcher 3, or we are playing, you know, Diablo 4 or Doom 2016, that kind of stuff. Even the Crisis series, we just got into the remastered Crisis series as well. If you guys are wanting to be a part of the experience where we are gaming and hanging out and chilling, listening to great music, then we do that on a website called Kick. It is essentially Twitch. It's essentially Twitch, but green, basically. It's really cool. It's a really, really cool platform. It's new. It is kick.com. It's known as Kick Streaming, and if you want to check us out over there, the name is also Oborrok, Oborrok. We stream every Sunday, Monday, and Wednesday, 1:30 p.m. PDT over there on Kick. That's where we play the games and hang out, but also every Friday, so today, after the podcast, starting at 5 p.m. PDT, we will be live over there as well. If you'd like to hang out and chill with us, we'd love to have you over there as well. Now, also, thank you very much again to everybody that has already liked the stream. If you guys are listening on Spotify, please drop us a follow, or leave us a rating, or both. Both of those do help out massively, and we do greatly appreciate that. But again, if you guys are watching on YouTube or Spotify or anything like that, dropping a like, subscribing, again, you know, dropping the podcast page a follow on Spotify, or leaving it a rating, all of that stuff does help out massively, and we really, really appreciate that. So everyone that has already done so, thank you. We really appreciate you guys. So today we are going to be, again, speaking with Mama Wolf, or Pattihealthyfitness. If you would like to check out any of her socials, we have her Instagram and her YouTube linked in the description down below. We have those both linked below, and then we are going to be talking to her today as well, and it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a really, really good time, man. Also, if you guys have any questions, throughout this podcast, throughout the stream, then you can leave them in the Q&A section. If you're listening on Spotify, there's a Q&A section. If you scroll down just a little bit, there'll be a Q&A section. You can leave questions or comments, concerns, any of that there. If you are watching this live, then you can leave them in the live chat on YouTube, or if you are coming back to this and watching it once it is a VOD, you can leave it in the comment section. We're more than happy to answer questions or comments, concerns, anything like that. Listen to stories or experiences you guys have had with the theme of the week as well, or anything like that. We'd love to hear from you guys. So now let's welcome in our guest, Patty Healthy Fitness, also known as Mama Wolf. So welcome in. Alrighty. Hello, how you doing? Hello. Let me swap seats here.
Get myself adjusted.
Let me swap seats here for you.
Right.
There you go.
Hello, everyone.
Alrighty. We got the we have the gain up.
We got the gain up.
Yep.
All right, cool. Everybody can hear.
Oh my goodness. There we go. We should be good.
Okay, we should be good.
You're taking, golly, you're taking the spotlight, man. I gotta like squeeze in here, man.
Right.
Hold on, I gotta like squeeze in here. Here we go. Alrighty. Would you like a water?
I would like a water. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, don't spill it this time. No.
I know, right? That
no, I'm playing.
I think Sydney was like bloopers.
No, see, I got you a coaster. Okay, I got you a coaster. So there you go.
Thank you.
There you go. So the desk ends right here. So make sure it goes on the coaster.
Yes, put it on the coaster.
No, I'm playing. This is my mom. Come on, I gotta. You know what I mean? Come on, I gotta
roast me a little bit.
Come on, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But also, I want to say, Mama Wolf, thank you very much for joining us. 3 freaking episodes, man. 3 freaking episodes. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for being a part of the podcast, man.
Of course.
Thank you for being a part of the podcast and joining us.
If everybody likes hearing my stories, I've got more. He can bring me on for cosplay. We can talk about organization. Oh my gosh.
Organization. That would be a cool one.
Yes,
that'd be a really cool one.
So many things we can talk about.
Alrighty. So, hold on, there we go. Okay, so audio is good, visuals are good. You said we're good for days. Thank you. I appreciate that. Alrighty. So, first of all, we're gonna kind of talk about my experience in this department a little bit before we like the both of. I mean, you can obviously comment on this and you can talk about this kind of stuff as well. We're gonna kind of dive into my like childhood a little bit, and we're gonna talk about like what I remember from the previous houses we lived in and that kind of stuff. But then of course, you know, Mama Wolf can she can talk about different stuff that she knows from those different houses that we lived in and the experiences she had as well. So first of all, the beginning for me is, so I've never lived in like a cul-de-sac, right? Like a house in a cul-de-sac, except one time. One time when I was very, very little, when I was, you know, born, right? Into what I was 6. I was like 6 and a half.
When we left, or what?
So we were there for about 6 years. When I was born.
When you were born.
Right. You and Dad were there longer.
Well, we bought it in 99. And your sister was almost 2 years old when we bought it, because May of 99.
So you had it for 2 years.
Yeah, almost 2 years before you were born. Yes.
So we had it for 8 years in total.
10.
10.
Well, almost 10. Yeah, because we left in 2008. So yeah, so 9.
Okay,
years.
about 9 years. So we had this. So we had this house for about 9 years, and. So that, I mean, this is like my childhood here, right?
Yeah.
This is where I grew up. This is where I had like the neighborhood friends, that kind of stuff. And like this is like my first memory of, you know, like being young and that kind of stuff, right? Yo, Dad Bull, my man, thank you for joining us.
Up?
It's great to see you, man.
Hi,
thank
Dad
you so
Bull.
much for joining us. Welcome. Hi. What's going on, my man? Alrighty. So this is like my first experience, like, you know, having my own home and that kind of stuff when I was really young. And I don't remember much from this house because I didn't really know like what was going on. Like really, I didn't really like understand. I was a little Tony. Okay, I was a little Tony in a big world. You know what I mean? So I didn't really understand what was going on. And I lived in this house for a short time. I remember there was like really tall walls. Like we had a massive like kitchen and like dining room, and they're like, I just remember really, really high up walls and like super high ceilings, right? But I don't really remember like my room, or I don't remember any of that kind of stuff, right? It's because I was super young, and when I really started to like understand the layout of a home and that kind of stuff is when we had already moved to our home that we would spend 14 years in. So this is the first time and the only time that I ever lived in a cul-de-sac. I had a friend that was right next door to us, and this is where I spent the first like 6 to 6.5 years of my life, which I really don't like remember, right? I don't remember too much, but with the housing market crash in 2008.
Yeah, well, it actually kind of started in 2006, and then reality hit pretty hard in 2007. But when we had to talk about what we were going to do and what the plan was, we actually left January of 2008. So the housing market crash had been going on 2006 to 2008. And it probably continued for a lot of people, but we had already left our home and went to the rental house. Yeah.
So because of the housing market crash, because of a bunch of different scenarios and situations, we had to move. We moved from this house, and we moved into, so my sister has always loved horses. She's always loved horses. She's always wanted horses of her own. So we had to move somewhere that was going to accommodate having horses. It was going to be able to sustain having horses.
Well, we didn't have them yet.
We didn't have them. Yeah. We didn't have them yet, but we had to think about that.
Wanted to. Yes.
Yeah, we had to think about that. We had to prepare for that.
Yeah.
Because we couldn't like build on it later. Like we kind of wanted to have it ready to go, right?
And I was raised on a farm, actually, not a big farm, but my parents had property. They had a half acre from the time that I lived in the city until I was about 8 years old. And then we moved to the home you guys remember, Grandma, in the mobile home and stuff. My parents bought that property, and I moved there when I was in second grade, and then I left basically when I moved out as an adult. And my parents had a half acre, and we grew corn and, all kinds of stuff. Just, little crops here and there.
Didn't Grandma have like a walnut tree or something like that?
She did. She had a walnut tree. Yeah, that was really cool and lots of good memories.
My grandma has, well, my mom too. My grandma was always like a green thumb, so she always had plants.
I'm not even close to Grandma.
Plants, flowers, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, beautiful stuff, succulents, everything, yeah.
So the house, before my grandma moved into like a mobile home kind of park area house, my grandma had a really, really nice big house, and she had a massive garden. This garden was huge, man. It was huge. She had all kinds of like trees, and it was really nice. It was really, really nice.
She had like the wine barrels that were filled with plants. And my mom was incredible for plants. But basically, when we were trying to decide, where we needed to move, we wanted to look for a place that had property. We love the home.
We were also kind of getting tired of like neighbors a little bit.
I mean, I love the feel of being close and knowing your neighbors and having kids to play with, and that's really good when your kids are young. It is, I think. So there's benefits to that, but sometimes you just can't like crank a Jurassic Park like you'd like to with the boom boom speakers and stuff.
Because my dad always had big speakers. He loved cranking
my
the
dad
movie.
Had made some too, and we cranked them, and the neighbor would be like, quiet down, we gotta go to sleep. And I'm like, we wanted to like have the boom, boom, bass. So when you move out into the country, you really don't have as many issues of that. If you're playing, music or something loud, most of the time your neighbors aren't going to hear it too much. But we thought about a lot of things in moving to that home of, we want some peace and quiet. We want space. And so that's really how we started looking. And funny thing is, back then, I mean, we had the phones and stuff, but I don't know if you guys, any of you remember your parents ever talking about the Fresno Bee, the newspaper. And so how I actually found that rental home was I looked for rent ads in the classified section of the local newspaper. And it just so happened that under the for rent, it said, 5-acre ranch for rent, and it had the price on it and it had the phone number. So we called, and that's how we found. So now, we're always looking on our phone, we're looking on maybe like Facebook Marketplace or something like that. But, we were old fashioned way back when, and we got out the local newspaper and happened to find that.
We had phone books. We had
Yes.
DVDs. We had
Beta, VHS.
Oh yeah, we had VHS.
Yeah.
We had like maps. You remember maps?
Yep.
We didn't have
I
no
can
GPS,
remember.
man.
I
We
can
had
remember taking
maps.
quite a few trips when his dad and I were younger, and we had to navigate on the old maps. Like, follow this. It's so much easier now when you have GPS. But yeah, so lots of adventures. But that's actually how we found that home.
So thank you, Mama Wolf. That's how we found the home. And again, we needed to find something that was going to have property because my sister we didn't have the horses at the time, but my sister really wanted to have horses. And so we needed to find something that was going to be, it was going to be spacious. It was going to have the space that we needed. It was going to be able to support having horses.
Yeah.
It was going to have, it was going to fit every need, right?
And she was actually already in 4-H too, because she got into 4-H when she was 9 and had got into the horse group. And we had actually been taking her to lessons while we were still living at the other house. We took her to lessons with somebody who had horses kind of not very far down the street from where we lived, like maybe 5 minutes away from where this house was. So it was a whole lot of things when it came to the horse. It was not just if we were going to have one, but it was, being in 4-H and were we going to ever raise animals? And, we just wanted space. I wanted space, all those kind of things. And then being close to things like that. So a little bit further away from stores, not bad, but, a little bit further away, a little bit more peace and quiet. And, so.
Thank you. Yeah. So we moved out to this house, and this is where we would spend the next 14 years. So this really starts, so we're going to start to like build why it was so hard to leave this behind. So we lived here for 14 years, and this is where this was where my real childhood started, because this is when I started gaming. This is when I started going to skate parks. This is when I started, this is where I really actually started like homeschool, because we had different little things that like we would go to, but this is like when I really had homeschool. This is when I really started to like understand stuff. This is when everything happened, right? So we spent the next 14 years in this house, and this is where when I was, I don't know, maybe probably 12 years old or something like that, I started making YouTube videos. I started making like a YouTube video here or there. I started to get into like, I've always, ever since I was probably like 9 years old, I've loved FaZe Clan. I loved FaZe Clan, and I loved like making content, and I wanted to always have like a content house. I wanted to like compete in tournaments, and I wanted to build a community. I wanted to like play games and make videos. I've wanted that ever since I was really young, right? So in this house, this is where all of that would start. This is where I would try different styles of content. This is where I would start going to the gym. This was where everything really started. This is where we had our horses. This is where we started getting reptiles and everything. So I grew up in this house. I really truly grew up in this house, and this was my actual childhood, because I don't remember enough from the house that we had prior. But so we moved out to this house. We spent 14 years renting, and the really cool thing was, in 14 years the landlord never raised the rent. So it was affordable. It was affordable. We were able to, it was really nice. We were able to have the same rent for 14 years, which is like almost unheard of, right?
Oh yeah. Nowadays, I mean, without fail,
especially in California.
Without
especially
fail,
especially
you rent
especially with
somewhere.
acreage.
Yeah, you rent somewhere, you can almost be guaranteed that they're going to raise your rent.
Oh yeah. But so this is where we started. This is where we started everything, right? This is where we started everything. This is where I started streaming. This is where everything happened. And so the reason it was so hard to leave this house is because, I mean, for me, I had no connection to the previous home. I mean, I had my neighbors, you know, and I had like I had very, very like small little minimal memories, but it was very minute. It was just tiny little things, like fragments of my mind. I didn't know much. So leaving this new house, leaving the house with the acreage, it was crazy because we built everything there. Exactly like Eternal said, this is where the magic happened. We built everything there. This is where my sister got horses. This is where my sister's horse or both horses? Both horses were born there.
Oh, just the baby.
Okay, my sister's baby horse was born at that house. I started making content at that house. I started playing video games at that house. It's when I first started getting into FPS games. That's when I first got my first reptiles. That's when I set up my room to have, you know, all the different reptiles and all the different tanks and enclosures. That's where everything started. So packing up 14 years of my life.
The wolf pack was started there.
The wolf pack was started there. The whole idea of streaming, cosplay was started there as well. The entire 2021, because we did it in 2021, January 2021. We did the entire like room remodel for like the stream room. We like remodeled everything in 2021, early like January 2021. We did everything. We did everything in this house. We had like every possible memory. My whole life happened in this house.
Yeah. And when you're somewhere for a long time, you know, for 14 years, this probably doesn't happen to everybody, but you accumulate a lot of stuff. And now keep in mind too that we were at the other house for 9 years and we accumulated a lot of stuff, and we weren't the kind of people that organized our stuff as well as we should have. So we had boxes and boxes and boxes of baby clothes and their schoolwork and, you know, just stuff that you just accumulate. It gets in a bin and you put it in the garage. So when we had to move to that house that we rented, it took a whole bunch of people to move us. A lot of people.
We ended up getting a lot of help from our church.
From the church, yeah.
Yeah, we had a church we were going to, and they had volunteered to help us move, which was really cool.
It was so much because we had so much furniture.
There is one memory I remember so fondly, and it was, we were having like, I remember we came to this house, right? I remember we came to this house, and my mom was, you were like, what were you doing? You were like shampooing the carpet. I think you went to Walmart and you like rented one of those giant
the current house or the old house?
The 14-year.
The rental, okay.
Yeah, so my mom ended up getting like a rental, like giant shampooer, right? And I remember like the carpet being like slightly damp, and we had like this massive like tile, what was it? Not granite, what was it? What was the countertop?
In the kitchen?
Yeah.
Oh, just tile.
Okay, okay. So it was like a tile countertop, and I remember it being really tall. I was not tall at all. I was but a wee young lad. I was but a small Tony in a big world. And I remember the counter being really tall, and we were sitting on these stools, having kid cuisine. And I was like, when are they gonna be here? When are they gonna be here? I was talking about the team from the church that was moving the stuff. And like I think my dad told my mom or something, but we went outside, and I remember this so fondly, man. We had this super long dirt road, like with this massive. It was like a gravel. It was like a really like
half mile.
It was like a half mile road, but it was like a dirt kind of gravel road, half mile from the mailbox to our like front door area, right? Our driveway. And I just remember all of these cars
Yep.
coming from the
trucks.
yeah,
Yeah.
all these cars just coming down this dirt road,
another in a line,
parking in a line, and everybody, there's probably 50 people just all unloading stuff and helping us put our house together. And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
It,
really
it
cool.
was so cool. That is probably one of the earliest memories I actually have, because I don't, like I said, like I remember very like tiny little things. I remember very, very tiny things from the first home, right? The home I was born in, but I don't really remember anything for the most part, anything like substantial from that house. But the first like big memory, well, when I was like, whoa, right, was seeing all those cars like parked behind each other, and everybody started unloading their cars with, you know, our life basically, and they helped us move in, and it was really cool.
When you guys move, if you have a lot of stuff, right, and maybe you just have trucks, maybe you don't have a moving van or movers, you know, you can't move in one fell swoop, right? You're making trip back, forth, right? And I think the goal of the church was literally to move us in one trip. Just everybody pack up we had to go back to obviously clean it and, you know, and just make sure we didn't leave anything. But literally the goal was to pack up the entire house and move in one trip.
Yeah.
That is what they did. So every car, truck, van, trailer, whatever they had was packed to the rim, brought everything in one trip. And then when we went back, it was only to just like clean it and obviously hand over that kind of thing. So and just, you know, no holds barred with what happened. We had to foreclose on the house that we left. We had to foreclose. The housing market crash was really difficult for us, obviously, for a lot of people. A lot of people lost their jobs during this time. What happened for us too was that, and I don't know how many of you know a lot about real estate, but sometimes what happens when we have these waves of like inflation and housing market crash and stuff is you kind of start with what they call speculation, where they think that, you know, houses are going to be worth a lot. And so then all of a sudden you've got this, this property is going to be valued at this much. And so everybody thinks, oh, I can take cash out of my house. I can sell my house. I can buy a house here. You live in a more expensive place, you can come to a cheaper place, and that raises up the price of everything. And so over time, his dad and I had done things like we built a pool and we built a sunroom and we paid off debt. And I was actually able to quit my job very younger, before Obo was born, and just be a stay-at-home mom and raise them and homeschool them and that kind of thing. And so we made all those things possible. But when you take the equity out of your home, obviously your payment goes up. So, but then, and his dad had a great job. I was able to stay home and just be a stay-at-home mom. But he had the desire to have his own business. What he wanted was to have a magazine. And that magazine was going to be a real estate magazine where builders, people that do anything in real estate, if you're a real estate agent, if you do anything in real estate, homes, whatever, would advertise. And if he got them to advertise, then he made money, and then he would distribute this book to bring them business, advertising, right? So we started out in 2005, and really a good chunk of 2006 made really good money. But it became very apparent towards the last half, if not last quarter of 2006, that something was wrong. And for sure in 2007, things really just became very obvious that we were in this housing market crash. So then what ended up happening was those advertisers were not selling. They weren't making money. So the first thing you're going to do is cut your cost. You have to pull out of your advertising, which then caused our business to go down. And because all of our costs were so high, and because we borrowed on the home, the payments were high, and the house, because the housing market crashed, what the house was worth was way less than what we owed. And because we weren't able to make the payments as well as we wanted to, the option was put forth, like, you're going to have to consider foreclosing and just write this off and move. And this was the first home we bought together. It was our dream. to have this home. We loved it. We really did love it. And I think even though we wanted property, maybe we would have stayed. I did end up going back to work as a nurse. I had to stop homeschooling. So those are all memories that, have some pain to them, but there's blessing in the process of that. But that's the reason why we lost that home and why we had to rent. So we weren't in a position to buy. We had to rent. And we were blessed, obviously, that the lady who rented this home, she actually had about 6 people who showed up at an open house, and she actually chose our family. So that was quite a blessing. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you for explaining that,
Sure.
Mama Wolf. Also, Laser, thank you for joining us. What's going on,
Hi,
man?
Laser.
How you doing, my man? Also, Eternal says that's where the Oborrok squad died and the wolf pack was founded.
Right.
That's oh man, this house that we lived in for 14 years. This is where I shot my first ever YouTube video. This was where I started the Oborrok Squad Fitness. This is where I started Oborrok Reacts. This is where I came up with the name of Oborrok. This is where I had a Xbox 360. This is where I had a GameCube. This is where I had an Xbox One, PlayStation 4. I went through puberty in this house. Like everything happened in this house, right? Every single thing happened in this house. The wolf pack, again, yes, like you said, the wolf pack was founded in this house. I actually started streaming. I started streaming for the first ever time and taking YouTube somewhat consistently and what's the word? Well, consistently. YouTube somewhat consistently and streaming and all. That's when everything started. It all happened in this house. So yes, that's where we started streaming. That's where we built the community. That is where I started making somewhat consistent YouTube videos. That is where we got the first reptiles. That is where Simba was born in this house. This is where we got Aragon as well. This is where my sister had her bearded dragon Saphira and her bearded dragon Jasper. Again, this is where
all the snakes.
Yep. This is when we first got our snakes, and that's where I had the frogs. We had all of our reptiles, all of our amphibians. We had all of our past belongings and new belongings. We had. This is where I started going. Because we had the big acreage. My sister would go on trail rides on her horses throughout the property. And when I started getting into paintball as well, because my sister had a boyfriend at the time who was on a somewhat kind of like semi, not professional, but not amateur either team. And he loved paintball, and I was like, wow, I really want to get into paintball. So I started going to the field that he was going to, and then he started going to a different field, but I really started to pick it up and love going to paintball. So I would put on my gear, and I would set up a little target, some pieces of wood or something, and I would run conditions throughout the property. Because I loved it so much, and it was kind of woodsy, so it was kind of like woods ball. It was really cool. It was really, really cool. But this is where every single thing happened. This is where, I do have a few, I can't say I don't have, when I said I had minute memories, that is relatively true. I have minute memories from the other house, from the house that I was born in. But there is one really big takeaway. There's 2 really big takeaways from that house. One, I've always loved Spider-Man. I explained this in a previous episode, but I've always loved Spider-Man, and we had somebody from our church dress up as Spider-Man for my 3rd birthday, 4th birthday, something like that. 4th birthday, okay. 4th birthday, dress up as Spider-Man and had the full suit, was hitting the poses and the stances. Went on to my swing set, playground area, and was shooting the webs and doing the poses, sliding down the slide, climbing on the monkey bars, right? So that is a massive memory that I have from that house. And there also is another memory. There's one more memory. So other than that memory, there's another memory that I have that I remember, but it's really weird. And I'm going to explain this right now. So it was a rainy day. it was a rainy day, and I went onto my playground, right? I went onto my playground, and I ended up slipping. And I slid all the way down the slide, and I was going Mach 10. Like I was zipping, bro. Like I was going fast. I remember it happened so fast. Like it felt like 2 seconds, right? But I remember this, man. And obviously, like over time, over the years, I learned more about this instance, and I had the ability to understand what actually happened, because my parents explained it to me. But I remember being really scared in this moment because I slipped. It was really rainy, and I slipped on the playground, and I slid down the slide. And we had really big sprinklers. Like we had really, really big, huge, like thick sprinklers that would pop up, and they had like razor blades. Like they were dude, they were sharp. They were sharp things. So I'm sliding down this slide face first, going straight at this sprinkler. And my dad was in our sunroom. And he saw this, and he said that he like went to go like open the door and like try to like run out there. But he said before I hit the floor and like the sprinkler, I started floating. He literally said, my dad was definitely kind of like I've always been born and raised Christian. I have my full faith and trust in God, right? I believe in miracles. I believe that he can perform miracles. He's performed many miracles in our lives, in my life and our lives as a family. But my dad's kind of always been like a little bit of even Christian, he's kind of always been a little bit of a conspiracy theorist, right? Like different kind of stuff. But he said in this moment, he was like, that was an angel. 100,000,000%. He was like, my son was going Mach 10 down this slide, headed straight for a really sharp sprinkler, and he started floating. He literally started floating, and I floated like down onto the ground, and then I got up, and I probably started crying, I don't know. But that was an insane memory that I had, because like all I remember in that moment was fear. I remember fear, and I don't remember like being picked up or gently hitting the floor or anything like that. I don't remember that, but I remember that moment being like just a pivotal memory of something that was so scary. That, because I mean, when you're younger, right, when you're in your first couple of years, you're learning to walk, you're learning to talk, but your brain hasn't really like clicked on yet, right? Like you say different little things, or you walk, or you talk, or you like, that's your mom, that's your dad. You're not like fully on yet though, right? And this, I don't know if this moment like activated me or whatever, right? But this is when I was like, oh my God, I'm alive. I was like, I'm alive. I feel fear. I'm scared. I'm gonna die. Like this was the moment that like freaking, this was like, okay, I remember everything now. You know what I mean? Like now, everything that happens from here, like I might not know nothing that happened then, but now
I remembered that.
Yeah, so that was the memory that like, whoa. So that was freaking insane. I can't put that together. You mean, oh yeah, we had this guy from our church that dressed up as Spider-Man, and then I almost died, but an angel saved me. Like, but no, I'm dead. I know it sounds probably crazy, but I remember that like it happened yesterday.
Yeah.
And it happened 16, 17 years ago?
Yeah.
Like insane.
Yeah.
But so that, and then the guy at the church that dressed as Spider-Man. And so those are like the two main memories that I have from that house. But again, yes. So when we moved, the housing market crash, and my mom saw the acreage. She saw the acreage, the house with the acreage in the ad, in the paper. And you said 6 different people? 6 different
there
people?
was like 6 different families that had applied and showed up for basically an open house, because the landlord, she lived in the Bay Area, like up Northern California, and so she would have to drive down to do any kind of in-person type stuff. So she planned a walkthrough basically, and you put in an application, and so then we showed up there with the kids, and basically looked at the house, and what did we think about it, and Of course, we were in a position where we didn't have too much time to think, like we needed to find something, and so it felt perfect for the family, and so we put in the application, and of course, I think we heard, I don't know, maybe a week or two later that she had chosen us. And the really cool thing, to kind of go back to the other home, was that you did have to put down some references for her. That's what she wanted, was some references, and she ended up calling my neighbor next to us who had the little boy that they were friends with. And she goes, you can thank your neighbor, because she said what great neighbors you guys were, and how you didn't cause any problems or anything like that. And she goes, she's a big reason why you guys are getting this home above anybody else. She also said, I have a soft spot for kids, and we had small kids, so that's one of the reasons why.
And the crazy thing too was the landlord was always she was pretty cool to me for the most part. She was always pretty cool to me, and she literally got to watch me grow up, right? Like she didn't like come down for a inspection every like 3 months or whatever.
It was like once a year.
She would maybe come once a year. Yeah. Sometimes it might have been once every 2 years. Like it wasn't incredibly frequent, but in those, in that time, she saw me go from like a little boy to, okay, now I'm 10. Teenager, now I'm, then she saw me and she's like, wow, you've grown so much. Okay, now I'm 15. Now I'm, I graduated high school. Now I'm 18. And it was crazy. It was really crazy because she got to see me like gaming.
Yep.
One time
she saw all this equipment that was in here in the room, and I explained what we were doing, that he had a stream and gamed and had a community, and she was like, wow, that's really cool. So she thought,
that's pretty freaking cool, man.
Yeah.
Despite all things,
my landlord was not the nicest person in the world. I will say that. As long as you paid your rent and you didn't make a mess or nothing, she was okay. But, if anything was off, he let you know it. So we always, like, as soon as we knew inspection time was coming, we were like massively cleaning and fixing things to make sure she wouldn't find anything wrong. So, we definitely had our share of issues, as anybody's ever had a landlord before. You get good ones, you get some maybe not so good ones, or some horrible ones, or, whatever. And she kind of was like, hit or miss. It could be really, really bad, or it could be really good, or it was pretty just normal and chill. And, that was a good thing. So, it wasn't bad. At least I'm very thankful that she was not one to raise the rent. She wasn't one to show up all the time and nitpick every little thing. So, it was pretty good, and we could just go about our life. We never had any complaints from the neighbors about us. And she actually said a couple times, she goes, you're the first tenant I've had lived here where my neighbors have never complained. So that was pretty cool.
That was definitely pretty cool, man.
Yeah,
we lived there.
No complaint in 14 years.
Yeah, 14 years. Which again, so we're gonna get into this. We're gonna get into why the move was so heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Well, not even the move, the forced out.
Right.
Being forced out.
Yeah,
why
we'll
it was
have to get into that.
We'll definitely get into that. We'll talk about that. But I thought it was pretty cool because she literally got to see me grow up. And when I started streaming and gaming and building what is now known as the Wolfpack, the Galactic Wolfpack, she got to see a little glimpse of that. So I went from this little boy that she knew that was moving into, her house with my parents and my sister. And then she got to see me all growing up. I'm a teenager. Yeah, I got a deep voice. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, what's going on? How you doing? Yeah, I'm streaming, playing my games. Yeah, and it was crazy. She every time she'd be like, wow, you grow so much. Like, it was really cool. It was really cool to like have that experience. But so my real life and the 85%, no, not even 92, I don't know, 92, 93% of my memories of my life happened in this house.
Yeah.
So now the theme of the week again is leaving in 60 days, and we're going to talk about why it was so hard to leave. We're going to talk about why it was so hard to leave. We're going to talk about why we had to leave. We're going to talk about
what it took to leave.
We're going to talk about how heartbreaking being quite literally forced out was.
Yeah.
So
because we don't know how many of you really know that full story. And so when we talked about coming up with more podcast ideas, as we're kind of thinking about that, and you know, obviously I'm on again. This is my third time, and hopefully everybody enjoys getting to see me, because I don't always get to come on. Usually you'll see me in chat, but I'm not always like in front of the camera. But I did tell Obo, I said, I have so many things that I can share with you guys that I am a part of, that I like to share knowledge that I have that maybe has nothing to do with gaming. And I think that was the whole point of the podcast, is to be able to bring something other than gaming, you know, because we'll do a lot of just chatting and do some fun stuff. And so, you know, he wanted to kind of think of some different things. And obviously on the Fridays that I'm off, I'm available a lot of times. And so he was like, you know, just want to kind of think of like what we want to do and prioritize what guests I'm going to come on. And I said, well, I am available, but I've already done the fitness and nutrition, you know, a couple of times. And not that we can't do more of that, because we can. And you guys obviously can let us know if you want to hear more about specifics, or, you know, what I've done, or that kind of thing. But I said, what about when we had to move?
Yeah.
Because it greatly affected you guys so much. And we'll get into how much that was going to affect you guys, and the community that Obo had built at the other house. So that's why we decided to do.
So we lived in the house for 14 years. We lived in that house for 14 years, and we had to move in. So we had heard that the landlord wanted to. We had heard that the landlord wanted to sell the house for quite some time. She had been talking about it.
You were a junior in high school.
Yeah,
so that would have been 2000.
Yeah, so
right about 2018, she kind of like threw that out there, like, I'm trying to decide if I want to move back to the home and retire, which if she did, of course, we'd have to move, or if I want to sell it. But she kind of was getting to a point after renting to us that she didn't want to rent anymore. Either I'm going to sell it, or I'm going to move back. I don't want to be a renter, and I don't want to be a landlord anymore. She'd sold another home in our same kind of area several years before we moved in, or we'd been there for a little while, and she sold one of the homes, and then kind of just didn't want to deal with it anymore. So, so she kind of threw that out there, and she said when she originally got this home, she was a renter of this home. She wasn't the original owner. So when she, I don't remember if she moved to our town or what it was, but she needed a place, and she loved horses, and she was very much into birds.
Yeah, she had birds.
And this house was that farm style where you literally just have a straight all the way, like the rooms are kind of just like this, right? They're not like a little more, you know, kind of like that. And so what she loved about that home was that she could set her birds loose in the house, and they could fly across the house this way, because it was ranch style. So when she was renting, the owners came to her and said, we're going to sell the home. And she was comfortable in that home. And she said, if you're going to sell the home, give me first shot at buying the home first, please. And if like she didn't qualify or decided she didn't want it, they could sell to someone else. But she wanted first crack at it. So she decided, and she told us, I'm going to pay it forward.
Isn't that crazy?
I'm going to pay it forward, and when you guys are ready to buy, I'm ready to sell. I'm going to give you a shot at it before I put it on the market. That was her intention. So when all this came around, and she was like, I'm getting to a point where I'm deciding.
This was, so again, like 2018,
2018,
you know,
yeah.
But
just she put the bug in our ear that she wanted to sell the home. 2018, I'm thinking, no, you know what? It was actually longer. It was earlier than that, because, as many of you guys know, his dad and I got divorced, and we separated in 2017. So now that I realize he actually was much younger when she started talking about it. So it might have been in 15 or 16 when she kind of started talking about it. But when she talked about it a little bit more, I think he was going to be going into his junior year. And she had said, I'll be willing to wait until he's a senior so that you're not having to transfer schools. Now,
Mhm.
little did she know he was homeschooled, so it didn't matter where we went, right? But she didn't need to know that. She kind of thought if you moved, it would affect your schooling, and which it can, but when you're homeschooled, you can literally go anywhere. So at the time when the conversation came up again, he was entering into his junior year, and we said he's still got another year or two before he's like a senior and finished. And so that's kind of how we bought ourselves a little bit of time.
So that progressed from there, but then the real, like, okay guys, like, he's graduated, he's not a kid anymore, like he's an adult. This was February 2021.
Yeah.
This was like the real, like, okay, seriously, like you need to seriously like start looking for a house,
Now, what had happened, to kind of back up a little bit too, because where I really got serious about looking into buying the home was in 2019, because I'd obviously separated from their dad, and I was looking into trying to get everything in my own name and build my credit, because I knew that we really wanted to try to buy the home. That was our goal. And I was trying to recover like financially through those kind of things. And, when you go through those major life issues, have a lot of things that you have to clean up and fix and all that. So I didn't really say too much to her in 2019 because I knew he was graduating. But I told the kids, I go, don't say anything to her. I got to buy myself more time. So I started working with, credit builders to get my credit at a good place, because as we'll discuss more into this, you have to have good credit, and you've got to get a lot of things that you want to make sure that you have things in order. You got to have your ducks in a row when you're going to buy a home. It's very, very important. So I had to build my credit. I wanted to make sure that as I'm building my credit, I also needed to look for good financing. I already had a good real estate agent that I knew, and I was very happy about that. So I started working all through that, and I worked all through 2019 to build my credit, and it just kept getting better and better and better. It was just going wonderfully. And we had Grandma Wolf living with us, which was great. So we had challenges for her health, but I was still building my credit. Well, then the pandemic hit, okay, in 2020. Now, when that happened, nobody was making loans. Like, it just shut. I was really, really close to getting the home. I was really close to getting a mortgage, or be able to apply for a mortgage. And the company that I was talking to said, we're not doing loans. And I started checking around, and a lot of places weren't doing loans because this pandemic, nobody knew what was going to happen with finances, with anything. They were so worried about people's jobs and writing any kind of loans during a pandemic. So that really put everything at a halt. And I think she understood that how serious this was. We really got to put this on hold. And so she kind of gave me that time, even though he'd already graduated, she gave me that time, realizing this was not a good time to try to sell the home. So the goal was just making your mortgage payments and let's see what, pans out. So, we had to deal with everything that happened in the pandemic. Well, as we were kind of talking, I'm getting kind of closer. I just kept building my credit during the pandemic. And then I started to continue to talk to people about trying to get a loan, because I knew she was going to revisit this again, and I needed to be prepared. And I just did not have really good luck with some of the people I talked to. Like, it was a lot of money down and very high credit, and this is all you're going to be able to afford. And it was really, really difficult. So I finally did get really close to finding the final person that I knew she was the one. I knew she was going to help me from everything she said. Like, I can do this for you. This is, we started talking. When that happened, as Obo was going to mention, is when it really came down. In February, she was like, okay, I need to know if you're serious or not. Are you buying this or not? Because
February 2021.
2021, I need to know because I'm serious about selling. I want to sell this year. I don't want to have to pay property taxes anymore. I don't want to have to be a landlord anymore. I'm not moving there. I've decided not to. So I want to sell this home. And that's basically where, that brought us to February.
So then we had different amounts and agreements that we tried to come to, and we kind of had it settled for the most part. We had an amount, and it was gonna work, but then the landlord was like, "I'm gonna sell it for more," and ended up putting it up for sale, and she was offered.
Well, so what happened was, I thought this was going to be an agreement between her and I, because she had said she didn't want a real estate agent involved. She was not going to get an agent, and I was not going to get. She wanted to do a for sale by owner. She wanted to find somebody who would do the paperwork, the legal paperwork, for a fee, but she didn't want to pay anybody commission. That was her goal, because the seller has to pay 6% commission off the sale price of the home, and that gets split between usually the buyer's agent and the seller's agent. And if one agent represents both, which isn't always the best option, but it can happen, then that person gets the whole amount. But that 6% commission is what comes off of the home, and it's 6% not off of the profit of the home, it's off the entire purchase price. So you can start adding that up, and you think about homes that are 200,000, 3, 4, 5, $1 million. That's a lot of money that is being given to a real estate agent. And, props to them for how hard they have to try to sell a home in hopes of getting their part of the commission. So, so I thought we were going to do this, just her and I. I thought we were going to come at a price. She was going to have it appraised, and we were just going to figure it out. Now, this home was not in the best shape. It was in a good part of town. It was 5 acres, but it wasn't in the best shape. It was older. She hadn't put a lot of anything into it.
The house was made in like the 70s,
It was
right?
made in the 70s, yeah. And she hadn't upgraded anything. There was broken tile and this and that and old carpet and everything. So I'm thinking it's going to be, not a lot. And when the time comes, I could upgrade it. And I really felt like she was going to give us a good deal on the home, even if it appraised for more, because I had been paying her rent for 14 years. And I think I ended up figuring out that was well over $200,000 that we had paid in rent over years. So I had kind of hoped, well, not only are you going to give me first crack at it, but you're also going to try to give me a good deal. Like, you're not going to make me pay like the full price. Like, everybody wants to have a little bit of equity moving in, right? That's the goal. So, she decides to bring somebody out, which I thought this person was going to be an appraiser. And instead of bringing out an appraiser, she brought out a real estate agent. So when she brought out this real estate agent, I met her, and obviously my heart sank, because I was like, I thought you weren't bringing out an agent. I thought the goal, because if this lady helped her sell, she was going to have to pay her commission. And that's what we talked about that. We weren't going to do that. That was the whole point. And I kind of had pulled her aside, and I was like, what gives? Like, I thought you didn't want to use a real estate agent. And I said, she goes, I want somebody to help with the paperwork. And I said, well, you do know that she's probably going to charge you at least several $1,000s to do the paperwork. Well, I'm going to talk to her about it. So I got a chance to pull the other lady aside, and she knew that we were an agent. And I think she also kind of knew that she wasn't going to make very much money off of this, right? So she was like, well, what do you want to pay for this, or what do you think? And I was like, well, I gave her an amount of what I figured I could qualify for. And this was an amount that my banking agent had said she felt like this is what I could qualify for based on my income and credit and all of that. So when I told her that, she was like, oh, okay. But she knows that during this pandemic, all the property values started going up. As I talked to you guys about speculation, right? When things happen, your property values are a certain place. And then when something happens, when people move from a different area, they raise the price. Sometimes during a pandemic and the interest rates go down, the prices go up, the demand. So now when all these people are starting to work from home, remote, they can work anywhere they want, but maybe they're losing pay or whatever it might be. So a lot of people moved from different areas to our town to save money, and then they were able to work remote. So they could be wherever they wanted to be, but they wanted to save money. And they flooded the market in our town and just raised up all the prices. So this lady basically said, here's your range. You can sell it for this to this. And the price difference was 200 grand from the low price to the big price. And she basically told her, if you sell it for this smaller price, you literally do absolutely nothing to the home unless you have to fix it because of inspection. You do nothing to the home. She had told me that there would be no, what is the word? Like, if we get it appraised and I want more of the appraisal, I'm not lowering the price. Like, she really like switched up on us. I'm not fixing anything. I'm not paying a real estate agent. I mean, she just kind of put all these, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that, and just really made this whole process very, very difficult.
So basically, we had a lot of promises, we had a lot of things that we could kind of count on, and then she was like, no, we're not doing any of this, and this is what it's being sold for, and you just kind of have to deal with it. So this...
Well, I want to, and so I want to say that, like, just to kind of help, like, the timeline goes. So she got this price range, like I said. Now, in this price range, she had this from the real estate agent, okay? Now, she had not found a buyer. She was still looking to me to buy, but I had a certain amount that I could sell it, to buy it for. I wanted a little bit less than that, but this was the amount. Well, my agent, my banking agent, so loan officer, had basically told her, she qualifies for this amount. We have ran her, and they talked on the phone. And I got the impression from our text message that if you can buy it for this price and your loan goes through, I'll sell it to you. But it wasn't exactly those words, but that was the assumption. So I'm thinking, as long as I can qualify for this amount, I'm going to get the home. I didn't know what it appraised for at the time. I had no idea. I just know that if she were to completely fix up the home and just totally renovate it, she could get a whole lot more. That was what we understood. So a little bit of time went on, and I keep trying to do everything I can to raise my credit, save money, talk to the agent. I'm talking to her, and I would reach out to her. I haven't heard, what's your plan? And she's like, well, I'm looking at how my taxes are going to be affected. If any of you guys have ever sold a home, you know that you have to pay capital gains off that home. And there are ways to get rid of the capital gains by investing in another home within 2 years. There's certain, if you're married and you have 2 incomes, there's certain ways where you can reduce your capital gains. But that's a really important thing to know when you're ready to sell, because that's money you have to pay out of your profits. So you really have to look into those kind of things. So she tells me, I'm looking into my taxes and how this is going to affect me and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, but where do I stand? What kind of assurances do I have? And she just kept saying, well, I haven't promised you that. And I'm like, but you literally said that you're going to sell to us first. And you even talked to my agent who said she can qualify for this amount. So the next thing I know, she says, I'm going to have somebody else come out to take a look at the home. So again, my heart sank because I'm like, what is going on? And now hindsight, I will give you guys the best advice I could ever give. When you live in a home, if you think you're going to buy that home or you're looking for one, don't ever not have a backup plan. Yeah. Don't ever just pick that home. Always have a backup plan. We were so set on this home because we had horses that are expensive to move unless you have friends. We had a property for them. We had 2 or 3 horses at the time, so they all had their fenced-in area. We had a fenced-in area for our dogs. They were safe. We had chickens. We had the turtles and tortoises. We had all sisters' reptiles. We had my mom living with us, Grandma Wolf, who was disabled with a hospital bed and a power wheelchair. And she had the garage, we had the garage set up for her to be her own little apartment. I mean, we did not want to move. And we were so set on this home that we looked for no other backup plan. And that is probably, and I'll be the first to admit, the biggest mistake we ever made was to be so set on this home and everything riding on this home that we had nothing to fall back on. Right. Biggest mistake we ever made. So, when that happened, where she's like, I'm going to have somebody come out, I met the guy and he came out and I instantly knew something was wrong.
Yeah.
He came in there, started looking at the place, was asking some questions, and I just got the feel that this was somebody who was going to buy the home. Mm-hmm. He did not come off. She tried to say it to me like this is somebody else who's going to assess the home or the value. No, he wasn't. What he was he was an investor. And his goal was to come to find out what he was willing to pay for the home. And if he was willing to pay a certain amount for the home, then that's the amount that she was going to go after. Because if it was going to be more than I could offer her, then she was going to take her better offer. That was what she did. And I'll be the first to say I can't blame her. Honestly, she does have right to sell for whatever she wants and who's ever going to buy. But honestly, it was kind of shady of her to do that, knowing the situation we're in, knowing how long we rented, how much we paid in rent, knowing our entire situation, chose to have somebody else come in to basically outbid is what happened. And so I learned a lot in that process of what happened, and in the process of buying this home we're in now. I learned so much about how things work and why it is important to protect yourself and why it's important to have other options, because you can literally be caught with, what are you going to do?
Your back is up against the wall. Your
back's up against the wall, which exactly.
No choices, no options, no avenues, no backups.
And it's not like, our family could just move into an apartment temporarily. We had a disabled woman. We had 3 dogs. We had 2 to 3 horses, reptile. Everything. I can't preface how difficult it would have been. And we had people saying things like, well, why don't you just board the horses? Now, most of these people who say that don't realize that you, in order to board a horse, even if you bring your own hay, you're easily looking at anywhere from several $100s to $1,000 if that person feeds them and cleans after them per horse. And we had ours on our property for free, and then she just had to buy their hay, right? So it is not easy to board. And, on top of the housing market affecting the homes that you buy, it also started raising the prices of all of the apartments and all of the rental homes. So anything not even comparable to what we wanted, something that would have been a home if we had to rent, could have easily been $2,500. And it would not have taken horses. And there's no guarantee they would have taken our horses, our dogs, our reptiles. We would have had to literally get rid of all of our animals. That is where we were set at that point. And it was probably, I would say, there have been a couple of situations in my life that were really scary. But I think as being the head of the home in that moment was one of the scariest things I ever had to go through.
And those 60 days too,
whole time.
The entire process, and especially the final 60 days where the landlord literally told us, okay, clock is ticking, find a home and move everything out.
Yeah.
Now. Yeah. Like there was no more, okay, things are getting finalized. There's a price that is, no, it was like you have 60 days. That point. And at the end of these 60 days, the entire house better be fully emptied, and you better have the keys in my hand.
Right.
So the entire process, like my mom was saying, was incredibly scary for all of us. And like she said, we can't just go move into an apartment. We had horses, we had dogs, we had everything. We had 100 reptiles, pretty much. And we can't just basically go from having 5 acres and having a home that's suitable for all of that, and then going and moving into an apartment. So because we again the reason we rented for 14 years is because we had the intention to buy. we absolutely had the intention to buy that house. We built everything there, and that's where my sister got horses. That's where we got the reptiles. That's where everything happened. So as we were renting, we were setting our life for that home. And when the rug got pulled from under our feet, we're like, oh, wow. You know?
With that being said, there were some times through this process, as I was still with their dad, that we had talked about buying other homes.
Right.
And we had talked about buying property and building. We had talked about that. Like, we weren't so set on that home. But after we had gone through our separation and gone through the divorce, not all of us, the four, but there were several of us that were ready to leave memories behind and start over. So I was open to leaving. But I also knew that in the current situation that we were in with our animals, and the current situation we were in with Obo and all of his computer equipment set up in the stream, and then my mom being there disabled, it really was the best option for us. Down the line, we could have considered moving and maybe use the equity, but in the moment, it was really the best option at that time. That's why we fought for it so hard. And so basically, kind of what I'll say is that she got to a point after that man came where she texted me one morning and she said, okay, well, I have decided to accept an offer for this home, and I'm giving you 60 days to leave. And I just remember seeing the message first thing when I woke up, and I just remember sobbing. I hadn't told the kids. I hadn't told my mom. I hadn't told my sister, my daughter. I just saw it when I first woke up in the morning, and I just started sobbing. And I was like, what am I going to do? Because everybody's looking to figure out what to do. Everybody is looking. And I felt this wave of emotions of, I'm a failure. I don't know where I'm going to take my family. I don't know what I'm going to do. I begged and pleaded with her. I said, please let me buy the home. I mean, this is what I thought we agreed to. And she literally said, I never agreed to sell it to you for that price. This is what they're offering me. I'm sending you a 60-day notice. You need to be out. You can work with the new owners to see if they'll let you stay longer, but they probably won't because they want to fix it up and change it. And I said, where am I supposed to go? I said, there's not places to rent with animals and places to buy. I mean, houses are getting snapped up. People were battling each other. People were paying over. They were paying over appraisal. So if you found a home you wanted and it appraised for, let's say, $400,000, some people were paying $450,000. People were paying more because they desperately needed a home so bad. And to put yourself in that position to be, $50,000 over what the house, you're in the hole, as we use the terminology in a car business. You're I think it's in the hole or upside down. That's the word. You're upside down in that you are going to owe more than something's worth, which a house is one of the greatest assets that you can have. And to be upside down in your home is really, really scary. And that was the one thing I didn't want, was to have to buy a home and have to fight people for it, especially with the clock ticking the way it did. So despite all of my efforts to try to talk to her, it was that day, it was like, this is it. So I walk out, I'm sobbing, and I have to break the news to my mom, to my daughter, and to Obo. And we are all upset. I know that my daughter said she cried every single night. I can't tell you how many tears I shed. So much fear, so much frustration and anger, and I felt betrayed. I mean, I felt probably every feeling I could feel, and I know in part of that process, I had regret for decisions I made, and I was angry at his dad for things that he put me through. I mean, all these waves of emotions go through you, and you just are so angry. As we know, we when we experience loss, we go through the 5 stages of grief, and you know, you have the first one you have, I think it's like disbelief or whatever it is, or denial, like this is not really happening to me. And then you feel anger, and I was so angry at her and angry at his dad and angry at just the world, like why is this happening?
Angry that even the little angry that little even angry excuse me angry that even the little certainty we had, we just lost.
Is gone. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Everything that we like knew, everything we could trust, everything, it was all gone.
Yeah.
So I need to use the restroom very quickly.
Okay.
But
do you want me just to keep talking to them about the process?
Yeah. Actually,
okay.
So since we've explained this, can you speak more to so now we've explained, we had the 60 days, all of that.
Yeah.
Can you talk more about when you found this house?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm definitely
when
get to
you
that
found
place,
this house and that process. I'll be very quick. I'll be right back.
And those of you listening too, if you guys have questions, please feel free to put them in, because we want to answer your questions, and we want to let you know about, you know, what has happened, you know, what you want to know about what happened, or how this can affect you or anything like that. So let me see what you said here. Yeah. Oh, you couldn't bring, oh my gosh. Oh, I love dogs so much, Rise. I can't even tell you how I would have felt if we had to get rid of our dogs, if we would have had to get rid of our horses, our reptiles. That just is the one thing that would have broke my heart more than anything, because we consider our animals family. All of our animals, even down to the snakes I don't like that much, they are part of our family. And I just couldn't see getting rid of any of them. Ducks, chickens, rabbits, everything we had, they meant everything to us, and they meant everything to my kids. And I had to find a way. So you find yourself in a situation where the reality has hit in, and this was on a Wednesday, and I had to go to work, and I was in tears. I almost didn't even want to go to work. But in the line of work that I do, with hospice, you have a schedule, you've got people that need to be seen, and you can't always not go. I had hoped I could have just taken the day off and I could have focused on what just happened to me, but I was needed and I had to go. And I remember walking into work and just in tears, like, how am I supposed to do my job knowing that I might not have anywhere to go? Am I going to be homeless? What am I going to do? And of course, as you guys know, the wolf pack means the world to me. And so in that process of not only losing our animals and trying to figure out what I'm going to do for my mom, you guys know that I hurt so bad for what was going to happen with this stream, with you guys. How was he going to stream? How was he going to continue to have the wolf pack? I knew how much you guys meant to him. And I know what he means to you. And there were times I couldn't sleep. And I was like, what's he going to do? If we go somewhere and there's not good internet, what are we going to do? So,
by the way, I'm back. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Rise says that,
I read that to him.
Yeah,
they had to get rid of, they'd let dogs go. I was just telling him about that. And so it was the animals, and it was the stream too. It was you guys. You guys meant so much to him. It meant so much to me. And I was just like, what if we find a place? Like I said, what if we find a place that we can't have good internet and he's not going to be able to stream? It just made me absolutely sick inside.
So there was absolutely more than a possibility that during this move, I would either be fully in the dark, all of us, but I would either be fully in the dark, or I would be in the dark for like 2 months. So,
or maybe not be able to stream all.
That's be fully in the dark. Is what I'm saying.
Maybe even more than 2 months, like maybe not at all.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
when I said fully in the dark, like entirely.
In those 2 months, in the 60 days. Yes.
No, like no. I'm saying there was a possibility that moving here would be no chance at all.
And actually, I don't know if you guys remember, but right about this time was when we were doing the Disney cosplay.
Yep.
Or
right around August 2021.
And the day that he had to tell you guys was the day that we did the Cheshire Cat.
Yeah.
And I remember him having to break the news to you guys what was going on.
And I was absolutely heartbroken. I started stream like 3.5 hours late because I was so distraught.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't get my head in the right space. And we did this awesome makeup, awesome like cosplay look. And
my head wasn't in the right place. I think I forgot your whiskers on the Cheshire Cat. And it looked so good. And he was behind a black screen and he still played and everybody came. But we had to break that to you guys that he was going to have to leave. We didn't know what was going to happen to the wolf pack. We didn't know what was going to happen with this house and our animals and everything. So basically this happened on a Wednesday. As I said, I had to go to work and I don't know if you did Thursday or what day we did it. I don't remember what day it was, but maybe it was Friday and I was off, but we did the Cheshire Cat and I broke it to you guys and stuff. So, but here's the really cool thing. So, we all have perseverance and we all have resolve and we have resilience, right? And when you find yourself in a situation that you're backed up against the wall, this is when you are really going to find out what you're made of.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, when you're backed up against the wall, you're going to find out what you're made of. You're going to find out the power that God has placed inside of you, what you are capable of, and you're going to find out who your friends are. You're going to find out how strong you can become as a family when you can go through some of the toughest battles that you will ever go through. This is when you're going to find out what you're made of, for sure. You don't always find out what you're made of when things are good. You find out what you're made of when you go through a trial, and a bad one at that. And so we instantly put out the word to friends, family, everybody. We need to find a home. And I'm going to tell you right now that there's the area we lived in, there was nothing that was going to take them. Nothing.
If something was good in one department, it was lacking in another department.
Yes.
If something had great acreage, the house either wasn't big enough or it didn't support something else that we needed. If something fit every need that we had, it didn't have acreage.
Or was too expensive.
So we weren't able to go to the city we were living in. We weren't able to go to the city, our immediate city that was very close as well.
There was multiple cities around that area that were like anything remotely close to what we had. Was, like he said, either the house was run down, it wasn't enough, it wasn't fenced, it was too expensive, there was already offers, it was already sold. I mean, it wasn't happening. So then we got faced into a situation where we're in a town where we have mountain areas. So we had to start looking in the outliers, like the mountain areas one way, mountain areas the other. Now, one of the biggest issues, as I told you guys, in me worrying about him losing you, was that as soon as you move to the mountains, your internet becomes a huge issue. Huge. People in the mountains don't always have very good cell service. They don't always have good phone service. They don't always have good internet service. They're out there. But when you think about the demand that a stream takes on an internet, there's not a lot out there. You're dealing with trees blocking towers and all those kind of things. So one of the things I had to do, besides looking for a home and taking care of grandma and taking care of everything else and going to work, was to try to call different internet companies to see who offered what, when, where do you offer it.
Mama Wolf called like 4 different providers.
I did.
Literally called like 4 different providers, and it was like, okay, so this one has amazing speeds, but it doesn't service that area. This one will service that area, but
you're gonna have to pay for it.
But
yeah, you're gonna have to pay for the install and
right. You're gonna have to pay for the install, and it's just gonna be just
a lot of money.
Wildly expensive. Okay, this one will service that area, but the speeds are incredibly low, and streaming or like anything like that is not even going to be possible. So there was a more than a possibility that I was never going to stream again. I was never going to make videos again. There was more than a possibility that that was going to happen, but Mama Wolf discovered Unwired. Mama Wolf discovered Unwired, and Unwired is a rural internet provider that is essentially like fiber. So it's a straight signal. It's really strong. The speeds themselves are not very high, but it is an unthrottled connection. Yep. So with other connections, you'll have like you pay for, like a gig up or something like that, and then you'll go to check and it says you have 100 up or something. You're like, what? How does that even? It's because it's throttled. A lot of them are throttled. I've explained it in the past, kind of like they flip on and off of a light switch. Your connection is dipping in and out constantly.
And I don't know if you guys remember, but when Obo would stream at the other house and we had that good dig up and stuff, he would oftentimes the stream would shut down on him.
The stream would crash
2-3 times, all kinds of stuff.
Because the connection that I had at my old house could not handle it. Yeah. We had this is the gamer streamer internet. Yep. This was the plan if you were a streamer.
This was the most you could get. Yeah.
Right. This is the absolute highest you could possibly get.
Like the top of the top, best of the best.
And it was having issue after issue, crashing stream after stream.
Right.
And I was like, this is ridiculous. Yeah. So there was more than a possibility that I would have never streamed again. But Mama Wolf did a whole bunch of research, and I did research, and we looked around, and she finally found Unwired. And Unwired was this fiber connection that was really strong. So it actually turned out that it was better than. So we were thinking I'd never stream again, possibly, and I'm heartbroken. I'm going into my buddy's streams, and I'm like, hey, I might not be able to see you for 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. Ever again. Like, I may just never have internet again. I may never stream again. I may never game again. Everything takes internet, and I have no internet. So I'm like so sad, and my heart is just broken that I may never be able to do this ever again. But again, Mama Wolf found Unwired, and Unwired turned out to be even stronger, 10 times stronger than the provider that I had at the old house. So over these last 2 years that we've lived in this home, I have been able to stream better than I ever did in the previous home, which is absolutely crazy. And that's a miracle. That is a blessing.
Now, what I didn't do was we didn't get to where we got to this place. Okay. Yeah. So this is a Wednesday, right? And I'm having all these feelings of like the internet, the animals, all that. So it's a Wednesday. Okay. Now I have to work Wednesday, Thursday. I think I was off Friday. So I have to work Wednesday and Thursday. So I immediately reach out to my real estate agent and I said, this is what's happening. And I reached out to the loan officer. This is what's happening. These two women were absolutely heartbroken for us because they knew how bad we needed to have a home, and then also knew that she was giving us 60 days. She wasn't even giving us like 6 months. She wasn't giving any extra time, right? It was, you have 60 days. So, so basically we put out the word to friends and family. So,
my sister and I were looking crazy.
Yeah, everybody was looking.
I was looking like crazy. We were looking at every possible option.
Yeah. So like I said, we were looking in like the outliers and stuff. And so, basically if we found something, then, because I had to work, my daughter was going. And so my daughter went with a friend to go see one place that was up in the mountains. And she came back and she just said, there's no way. She goes, there's not good room for the wheelchair with grandma. It is up in the mountains, the windy roads. We're going to deal with being in like fire lane. We're going to possibly get snow, windy roads. Obo was getting better about learning to drive. Like he had been learning how to drive but we were trying to get him better at driving. And the last thing I wanted was for him to be in the mountains, windy roads, and snow and rock slides and all those things. We also were at a risk of dealing with wild animals, rattlesnakes, things like that, which are not, it's doable, but you have to be really careful with livestock. You have to be really careful with horses and dogs because some of them lose their life to them. So, when you're in the mountains in some of those areas, that's their natural habitat and you are invading in that habitat. So even though a home is already established does not mean you're not going to have a rattlesnake on your porch and then your dog goes after it and gets bit, right? So, these were all these things going through our minds. So she went to see that place. She goes, absolutely not. Absolutely not. We just can't do this. And I'm like, we're losing options. Like, we're trying to look in all these different areas where it's not too far. We also had to consider how far it was to get to my office, how far it was for sister to get to her office. Like if it took us an hour to get to work, what a bummer, and how much wasted gas and all this kind of stuff. We were trying to think of those kind of options too. So one thing, and I kind of wish you here, we'll have to make sure to say, but many of you probably know Yahuki, right? Yahuki's been in a lot of the Purple App streams, right? Been a long time member of the Wolf Pack. And so we put out to everybody that we needed some help, finding a home. And obviously we have to be careful, where we say we live, because, you're out in the internet. You don't want to tell everybody where you live, but, we had many of you close to us that were looking, and Yahuki actually found a couple of homes, and one of the homes was this one. Okay. So we got the address, we looked at it. It was not super, super far away from the other home. I think about maybe anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes. And really, I think about a half an hour from my work. So not horrible, not horribly far away from stores, but I mean, it's going to be farther than we're used to. And so found this home. And so I reached out to my real estate agent and I said, I want to go see it. I want to see it. And I want to go Friday. I'm off Friday. I want to go. And Obo was able to check on grandma at the time. And she was okay, check on her, make sure she stays in bed. She's all right. Sister and I are going to go. And so we went to go see the place and we absolutely loved it. And I said, I want to put in an offer, full price offer. I don't want to talk her down, nothing, just full price offer. So we actually
that's Miss Nikki.
Hi.
It's Nikki,
Miss Nikki and then Evander.
V-Man.
Hey, hi, V-Man. Hi.
What's going on, guys? Hello.
Hi.
Hello. Welcome.
Yeah, so
thank you for joining us. Hello.
Thank you for joining. So Yahuki helped find this home. And so we put in the offer and we had 3 days. So if you guys have ever bought a home, you know that when you sell a home or when you buy a home and you get an offer or make an offer, you have 3 days to decline the offer, to accept it, or to counter offer. But you have 3 days.
Josie!
Hi, Josie!
Welcome, Josie!
Welcome!
Hello.
So basically 3 days went by, and of course we're on pins and needles, and I'm thinking she's not going to turn away a full price offer. But my bigger fear was that somebody else was going to come in and offer her more. That was my biggest fear.
Because we just went through that.
We just went through that, basically. Yeah. So so the 3 days go by and she accepted our offer. So in that moment, yes, she accepted our offer. So in that moment, I was then able to get a hold of Unwired to make sure they could service here. And they said, yes, we do. They weren't going to charge us anything for the install. We were just going to have to pay for the internet. That was it. But what we did decide to do was to get 2 separate internets, which we did have at the other place. We had got Obo a separate internet. Eventually we did.
Eventually.
So we agreed to do 2 here. One that would be just his, that he would only stream on. And then one that would be for the family for streaming TV and, internet and things we needed to do out there. But this one was going to be. So they did do it. They were going to do it. It was great.
They did it fast too. And not sponsored, but huge shout out to Unwired Broadband, because they
Big
have
ups to
been
Unwired, yeah.
incredible. Over the 2 years we've had them, they've been nothing but incredible. They have
responsive.
They have serviced every need that we had.
Yep.
They have fixed every issue that we had in a dime.
Yep.
They have actually checked out the streams.
Yep.
And they've checked out the videos, and they thought the creating of content was really cool, since they actually never had a content creator before on their plan. So they thought it was really freaking cool. And just massive shout out to Unwired Broadband. You guys made this possible, and we thank you very much for allowing the Wolfpack to continue at a new location. And also a massive shout out to Yahuki as well for helping us find this home.
Right.
Because without you, we may not have found this home in time. Or at all. So massive shout out to Yahuki as well.
And I think I know that one of Sister's friends had found it too.
Yeah.
So it was one of Sister's friends and then Yahuki both found it.
Yeah.
And so we were like, gotta look into this one. So basically, you had questions for me, I think, or no? Did you have questions? Keeps talking about
the main. So we put in the offer.
said we put in the offer and she accepted it.
You talked to the real estate agent.
Yeah.
You put in the offer. She accepted it. So you had to get pre-qualified for the bank.
Yeah. So I had to get pre-qualified from the bank, and so at the time, basically.
Oh no, Nikki. We're talking about the experience of when we moved. We're not moving again. We own this home. No. We own this home. We're living here. This is where we're at.
Yes.
No, we're talking about the experience of when we moved 2 years ago and how stressful it was and what we
Funny story.
No, you're good.
Okay,
you're good.
Funny story, but so when we wanted to do this, when I had suggested this and he made the thumbnail, he had gone in 60 days and he just had this void. And I was like, Obo, I'm going to tell you what the Wolfpack's going to say. They're going to think you're stopping streaming.
I'm like, no, that's not it. That is not it.
You cannot. Well, I put the void like it was a scary time. And I said, I know, but I'm telling you, if you do not put houses on and keys and sold, somebody is going to think you're going to stop streaming, or they're going to think something's wrong. And I don't want to stress out. I don't want to stress you guys out, right?
Yeah.
So I said, put houses on. But I said, even with that, I think some of you still thought like that we were leaving here. And that's what I didn't want. So we were like, hopefully we can make this clear that no, we're not leaving.
We own this home. We're not leaving. We're
I'm
good.
doing everything we can. Yes.
We're good.
Yes.
It's just, So.
Okay. So kind of at the place, we're at the third day. Okay. So
pre-qualified for the bank.
Okay, so the bank had originally pre-qualified me for an amount that I had given to the owner, my landlord. Okay, now what we offered here was a little bit more than that. And so when I reached out to her and I said, this is the offer I'm putting in, do you think I can qualify? And she goes, I think we can make this happen. Because I'm like, if I'm going to place an offer, like I got to make sure that I'm going to be able to qualify. Now, originally when I sent out the information, my pay stubs, because I did get paid to take care of grandma. That was basically my full-time job. And then I also worked in hospice. So those two together made enough. Now, the whole point of talking to this now as we get to this point is to hopefully be informative, because I want to share what we went through. And it is a process that I can tell you, if you've got all your ducks in a row, it doesn't have to be a tough process. But if you don't have your ducks in a row, or if you're not really sure, you are going to get a crash course in buying a home 101, especially when you are down to the wire, which we were. Okay. So as you guys know, basically we had 60 days. Okay. So if everything goes well from the time that you put in an offer to the time you close and get the keys, if you can get that done in 30 days, that's booming. That's awesome. Okay. But sometimes things are going to happen and it takes longer. Escrow can take longer. Okay.
And the escrow took a long time, didn't it?
Well, we got it done in 30 days. Okay. But here's the thing.
I thought it took like way longer.
Sometimes escrow can take longer. Now, with that being said, the reason why the 60 days was important was if we could get the keys in 30 days, then we would have 30 days to move. And the reason why those 30 days are so tough, okay, you guys remember, not only do we have 14 years of stuff we've accumulated that we just didn't go through like we should have, but we had horses to move. We had a turtle pen to move. Turtle and tortoises. We had the dogs to move. We had my mom's hospital bed, a power wheelchair, heavy duty furniture. We had so much, all of his equipment. All of this had to be moved. We had to make sure that, did we have to make repairs to the place? Did we have to paint? Did we have to do this? There was so much to do. And trying to do that while taking care of my mom, who was in a wheelchair, and continuing to work is what I had to do. So I had to try to figure out how to get everything done with this home and figure out all of that part, as well as figuring out how we were going to move. You have to move your propane. You have to move your PG&E. I mean, your utilities. You have to do all this kind of stuff. It is incredibly nerve-wracking. And I tell you what, you guys, just as a side note, as I'm going through what happened, the wolf pack, you guys have been so supportive of Obo. I cannot tell you how much it means that you supported him through this process, because it was tough. It was really tough. And because you supported him, he was a rock for me, because this was tough. It was really, really tough to go through this. And I just appreciate you guys so much. I can't even tell you how much I appreciate what you guys have done for us, being supportive and showing up to the stream.
Bro, you're gonna make me cry.
I know. I'm like starting to go like this. Oh my God, I'm trying not to. You guys mean the world to us. You really do. And I don't think I realized how much this meant to him, and that he would want to be full-time. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. It's kind of like when your kid wants to be a drummer in a band. You're like, are you serious? You're never going to make it. And then your kid ends up being with like Motley Crue or something, right? And you're just like, people have a passion, and when they really have a passion, they can make something. So thank you guys. Thank you. That means the world to me. So, okay, so we're at day 3, right? And we've got basically 30 days is the goal, okay? Because we need this time to move, and we need a plan in place.
Not to interrupt you, but
yeah,
thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you very much. That really means a lot.
Yeah. You guys are amazing. You really are. We just appreciate not just not just the support you give, but also the financial support. I mean, you guys don't have to give, but you do. You give from your heart, and it means so much that you do this to make sure that he's got a job, which is so cool. Like, he's got a job doing this. It's like, my son's a streamer. I love it. And a content creator. It's just so cool. It means the world to us that you guys support us, emotionally, and your friends. And you've been a part of so many things that we've been through, but you also support,
been a part of our lives,
and you support financially too, which is super cool. So really, really appreciate that. So we're at day 3. She's accepted it. So now we start the process of inspections. We're going to have to get an appraiser. We're going to have to do all this kind of stuff. So now I'm dealing with the real estate agent who is helping me with all the different inspections that have to be done. On the outside of that, I have to eventually start talking to the utility company, the propane company,
septic,
septic, the internet.
Because they had to service the entire house.
But all of that has to be done more towards the end, because you don't want to be premature. You don't have the house yet, but you have to start preparing and calling them and being prepared for all of that. So I did get tentatively qualified for the full offer. Okay, so we're kind of moving along. We're doing okay. And we're all excited, because we're like, okay, we've got to move from here. This is really difficult, but at least we've got a home secured. Okay, but it's still hanging out there. It's not ours yet. Okay. So then I have to go through all the paperwork with the bank. I've got to keep working on my credit to make sure that I don't do anything to mess up my credit. So here's a very important part that I learned. When you are in the process of buying a home, do not be late on any payments. Do not buy anything on your credit. Pay them off as much as possible to get your score up there. Don't apply. If I said don't apply for anything, don't charge anything. Don't do anything. Nothing. Because your score can drop a few points, and it could be the matter of whether you have to pay a down payment or not. It can be a matter of whether you even get the house. It is that crazy.
There was actually one instance where something was off by like 5 points, and it literally like
I was off by 1.
You were okay.
No, 2.
So
you
were off
points.
by 2 or 3 points.
Yes.
And what did it do exactly? It pushed out the process like another week or like what?
No. So what happened was, okay, I'll kind of back up a little bit. So like I said, you get a crash course in buying a home. Okay. I had not bought a home since 1999. Okay. And when we bought that home, it was a track home. So it was like partially already made for somebody who had to back out. So a lot of that process was already done, but it was just so much easier back then to buy a home. I think we bought it, like we put in like not the offer, but we had a certain amount we had to pay, and we moved in 45 days. But we moved from a place where we got to put in the notice that we were leaving. It was all so positive and wonderful. And that was my last memory of buying a home. So when we had to move from the house we lost, that was so painful, but we at least secured the rental and we moved and we had all this help. So that wasn't so bad. This was really, really stressful. So, so basically you have to have a certain credit. And so when you are doing underwriting, okay, you have to do underwriting. You have to get approved by the underwriter before you get the keys. So you have a couple of different loans, like a whole bunch of different loans, but you've got like VA loans if you're a veteran. You have FHA, which is Federal Housing Administration. You have conventional. There's different types of loans, but the most common are FHA and conventional. So FHA has a limit of what you can purchase. And I think if I remember right, the most you can purchase in our area is a little bit over 300,000. Like I think it's like 335 or something. Now this home, I'm not afraid to say, was 469 is what she wanted. Okay. So we're not going to be able to do an FHA loan. And sometimes when you do an FHA loan, the qualifying for that and the closing is a little bit easier. And sometimes you don't have to come up with a down payment. You can get a lot more assistance. But obviously this home was so much more than that. Now back several years before we bought it, before the pandemic, had I offered to buy it then, and had I had the forethought to do that then, although I was going through separation and divorce, as you guys know, that was kind of my focus and my mom's health. I didn't move forward with that, but I probably could have got that house for that price. That is probably, I don't know if they're home, but that might be her friend. Oh no, she's home. Never mind.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. All right. We heard the doorbell, so we wanted to make sure everything's okay. All right. So I didn't have the forethought to buy the home then. And I think I probably could have got it within the FHA limits for our area, and I didn't do it. So this home was not going to fit in that. I had to do conventional. When you do conventional, you have to go through underwriting, and you have two types of underwriting. So you have manual underwriting and you have desktop underwriting or automated. I think that's what it is. If you do manual, your paperwork is being looked over by an actual real person. They're looking through everything, your down payment, your bank statements, where'd you get your down payment from, your credit, your income. Boy, they go through it with a fine-tooth comb. If you do automated underwriting, that's when they put your information into a system, your credit, your whatever, and it will come up with a decision. And that decision could be, oh, hell no, you're not qualifying.
And actually, adding to that, I remember it was like, everything's good. Wait, This one thing right here.
So you might get that.
And then, so we got everything fixed. Okay, everything's good. Wait, this thing. And it was literally like, we had everything good. Okay, now there's an issue. We had everything good. Now there's another issue.
Okay, well, but
everything's good. Now there's another issue.
Right. Well, now with that in particular, the automated underwriting, we figured out right away, pretty much right away, that was not going to fly. I think we tried it a couple times, and that was not going to fly. So they give you this decision. It's like immediate. Yes, no, whatever. Like there's no person involved. It's immediate. It's through like Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. Okay, immediate, right? And it's for conventional. And if your credit's good, your income's good, you get qualified. Then what happens at that point is you are actually able to get down payment assistance. Sometimes you're able to get some of your closing costs covered. You can get all of that. But if you are doing manual underwriting, you cannot get that assistance. No help at all. If they have to manually underwrite your paperwork, and this is how it was at the time. I don't know if it's changed or whatever, but at the time, if we have to do manual underwriting, you cannot get down payment assistance, closing cost assistance, nothing. That's rare. That's where we were at. And like I said, I went through so many different loan agents. I knew this was the right one, and she was very good by us. And she just put it all out there, and she said, "This is how it is, guys. You can't." So we're like, whatever. Okay, we're going to have to come up with a down payment, but it's not going to be very much. Like, I mean, it's not going to be for a while. So we start getting our money together, figuring out our plan. Obo had saved money. Sister had saved money. I, had some. We were trying to pull it together.
This was the reworking?
No.
Not
so
yet.
This was still where we were at. Okay, so we're getting to that point where we're like, here's the underwriting. She's kind of taking me through all the steps of the financing, because that's an ongoing process through the whole thing. It's all part of escrow, is this financing part. And what is it appraised for? And do you have how your inspections go? It's all those kind of things. Okay. So we're kind of getting to a point where maybe I think like a week to 2 weeks have gone by, probably about a week and a half. And we're getting really close to the inspector. The general inspector is coming to look at everything in the house. He's not the septic, and he's not the septic or the pump, and he's not the appraiser. I can't remember if the appraiser came first, but we had the appraiser coming, and he was going to have to be paid whether the house got approved or not. And then the guy that was going to do the inspection was going to come, and there was a certain time that they had to come in this process. So we're getting close to that. I get a text or a phone call from my loan agent, and she says, "I hate to break the news to you." She says, "You are not going to qualify for the 469. She said, "I'm sorry, we reworked your numbers, and this is how much money you make." And she said, "Because your credit score is right here, you have to have, this is how much we can loan to you. This is where it is. Like, if your credit score was much higher, you've got more room, you've got more loan, you don't have to put down as much of a down payment." Like, that credit score, I can't stress to you guys enough how important your credit is. How important it is to pay your bills on time, how important it is to have good lines of credit. You use it, you pay it off. It is so important. And don't close loans. I mean, some you don't have a choice with, like cars and stuff, but if you've got lines of credit, do not close them, because as soon as you close them, it shuts off all your payment history. These are things, that I didn't know. Like,
and they don't teach you this in school either.
They don't teach you. So credit 101 with Mama Wolf, right?
Also, by the way, Nikki says, so VA loans are kind of tricky. You can get assistance, but sometimes it actually costs more.
Yeah.
I did conventional for that reason. It was more upfront, but less overall during the life of the loan.
Yeah, see, I mean, I didn't have the option.
Absolutely, Nikki, they should, because the thing is, it's like, so you have a fresh-faced 18-year-old kid right out of high school, okay? They're, let's say they didn't do any, college, they didn't do any grandfathering in of, or any kind of, program where they're able to take prerequisites in, college classes while they're still in high school. Like, fresh-faced 18-year-old, they just graduated high school, they're going into college, first time, right? You know what I mean? They don't teach you that. They didn't teach you that in middle school. They didn't teach you that in high school. They're not going to teach you that in college.
Yeah.
You got to know the freaking circumference of this and the diameter of that, and you got to know the freaking.
But not what you're actually gonna
exactly
use in
the
life.
things like sure you can know the hypotenuse of this, but as you're working your job and you're off to go get an apartment for yourself, you have no idea that you have to have this APR and this and this and this, and they don't teach you that.
Right.
They don't teach you that.
And I'll tell you what, that's why homeschool.
Exactly. But you can't balance a checkbook. Exactly.
Yes, exactly.
They don't teach you the things that you need to live.
That's why homeschool was so important to me, and why I homeschooled Obo and his sister, because I taught them real life stuff. Now, I taught them what they could handle at the time. So when things came up, I taught them about when you get a credit card, because I made a lot of mistakes when I was a young kid, and I got credit cards and I jacked them up, and I had to file bankruptcy. You know, with him, his dad and I had to file bankruptcy. You know, we just made a lot of bad choices. Our parents didn't really set the greatest example, his or mine, and so you know, and I don't blame them for that, but because you have to be responsible for yourself. So when we had kids, we did whatever we could to say, if you open up a credit card, you better pay that thing off, pay it on time every month. Don't just buy and buy and buy, you know, balance your checkbook, watch out for those things, because the bounce check fee, things like that are so important to avoid, right? So here I am, okay, and I get this news that she's like, your income doesn't qualify for this amount. And so how? Like I'm giving this paycheck. Well, what I found happened was, and I didn't have the forethought about this during this time, because we thought we were going to get that other home, which still would have been a problem there too. If she had agreed, I could have been into the same situation, right? And I didn't have a landlord who was willing to work with me.
Can you just imagine what that situation would have been like?
If she had agreed, and she would have been like, okay, get out of here. Yeah. So basically,
so not only did we waste more time, but we're back at square one where we have to find someone.
That's what would have happened, exactly. So that was one of my fears, was that time was ticking, and I was going to have to start all over again, which is ticking this clock away of this 60 days, right?
And so our landlord of the house we were in for 14 years, issued this 60. You have 60 days at the end of July. The end of July 2021. So we would have had to turn in the keys.
End of September.
The end of September.
Right, exactly. So basically, I started looking at why did my income change, and what happened was, because Grandma Wolf's dementia had started becoming more difficult, I was finding myself in a situation, because of my health. Many of you know about my heart health and my blood pressure, and in being in ER and stuff, that I needed a break. Like, I was literally taking care of her 7 days a week. So I was every morning, every afternoon, every evening, except on the days that I worked, I would take care of her right before work, and then I would go do an 8 to 10 hour shift. I was exhausted. I wasn't well. I wasn't exercising. And I finally went to my daughter, who was taking care of Grandma Wolf when I worked, and I said, I need a break. I need to be able to maybe have a day where I cut back and work, and I will take care of her in the morning. And then as soon as I would normally leave for work, this is a day I got to go get my nails done, shopping. I need a break from her. Dementia is very taxing to the caregiver. And you got to take a break. You have to, right? Well, what happened was I started losing overtime. I started losing some of our bonuses for, working later. My paycheck was a little bit smaller. Yes, I had the money from Grandma Wolf for taking care of her, but my paycheck started to go down. When she originally got my pay stubs, those were the bigger pay stubs. And then she started needing the pay stubs that started showing I was making less money. So then I said, okay, great. Okay, more stress. What do I do? Okay. And she said, well, this is what you're going to qualify for. And I'm thinking, we just offered her $469, right? So what do I qualify for? And she says $425,000. Okay, now do your math, guys, right? 70 and then 25. That is what, a $46,000 or $44,000 difference during a pandemic. I'm supposed to either figure out how to come up with that plus a down payment to give her full price, or I'm going to have to ask her for less. So before I even wanted to approach her with less, I tried to look at every single other option. And I can tell you guys that I looked at everything. I reached out to my aunt who's got money. I tried to apply with Obo as him being on the back end. Now, kind of as a little bit of a information here. So Obo had credit, but didn't have enough of a paper trail with content creation that it could be used, because he would have had to file his taxes for 2 years and he didn't have that. So they wouldn't count his streaming as enough of an income. And even though he didn't make the kind of money that I made, his income might have been enough to push us over the edge. Then his sister, they both had good credit, but they didn't have a paper trail. His sister doesn't have paper trail either. The type of job she does is more cash pay. Didn't have a paper trail, okay? Didn't have a 1099. They don't give it. It was a weird situation. So my 2 kids who want to help, who've got maybe good credit also, can lend strength to this loan, don't have a paper trail. Then you've got Grandma Wolf, okay? Grandma Wolf's got a paper trail because she brings in Social Security, but she had bad credit. She just couldn't pay her bills anymore. Just bad things happened, so she didn't have the credit. So it wasn't going to help me. Even the income wasn't going to help. If her score wasn't the same as mine or better, it wasn't going to help. So again, I'm doing this on my own. I've got nobody to help me. So I couldn't use them. I started looking into investors. Would an investor help give me a second loan, like a second for the down payment and make the difference? I tried everything. We even looked into another loan company that might be able to do something. We tried lots of things that happened, and we hit a wall. There was just nothing anybody could do. We didn't want to keep running my credit because it would drop it down. I did do that one time before we tried some other options, and because it dropped my score 3 points, I had to be, I think, at a minimum of 680, and then it was going to allow something like a certain amount down. But my score, I think I was 681. My score dropped down to 678, and I couldn't get it back up again. And because it was not at 680, this is why these numbers are so important, and they'll drive you crazy. Because I couldn't be at 680, it was going to affect how much money I had to put down. Just by having one additional person pull my credit, that's what ended up happening to my score. So I just felt like I was just getting hit every way. Everything just kept falling apart. And I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And we got right to a point where the appraiser was going to need to come and appraise the home, and the inspection guy was going to come. I think the appraiser guy was later, but the inspection guy was going to come. And he's like, here's the thing. If he comes to inspect the home, you have to pay him. And if you don't buy the home, you lose that money. You don't get that money back. And I was not in a position to just throw away money, right? Like, I need to get this home inspected. So I looked at every door closed, every single door closed. And I was basically forced to say, I'm going to have to offer her less. The one thing I was able to do, if I offered her less, $425, I was going to be in a position with some help from my family, from my aunt, to offer 10 grand cash. So I was going to make it $435. The bank was going to do $425. We were going to offer 10 cash. And then on top of that, I had to put down 5%. So, I'm getting real stressed here, right? But this is where we were at. That was going to be my only option. And I was in a situation where I was working with the loan officer. I was working with the real estate agent. And we said, this is where you're at. This is what has to be. This is what you've got to do. They all advocated as best as they could to say, this is the right thing to do. Let's put in the offer. The day that I put that offer in, I think was August 6th. 7, 8, August 6th. Okay. So clock's ticking, right? It's August 6th. I put in the offer for that amount. All right. And I think that was right. It was August 6th. Okay. Now, again, going back, if you guys know that they have 3 days to respond, they can counter, they can refuse, they can accept. 3 days they have to respond. So the day that she was going to respond and I was going to hear was August 9th, 2021. The significance of that day is my daughter's birthday. Okay. Normally I'm off on Mondays. So it's a Monday. I'm normally off on Mondays. And I want to tell you guys this from my heart. I had to go to work to get into a class of, we were moving on to a different system, and we had to be given our iPads and to get a basic training onto it. And I was so angry because I had to be off on a day when I'm so stressed about all this, and I've got to go to a meeting. There was nothing I could do to change it. So my work is 30 minutes away, okay? And many of you know, Obo and I have professed our faith in Christ. We are faithful. We have a relationship with God. He is our number one. We do everything we can do. We do as Him is our center, put our faith and trust in Him, and always have my entire life. Yes.
Also, by the way, hi, Fanny.
Hi, Fanny.
What's up, my man? Okay, continue.
Yes. Okay. So I've always been faithful, praying. It doesn't matter how bad things have gotten in my life. I've always found that the blessings come. Okay. But I was faced in a situation where I even was praying, saying, what are you doing to me? Why are you allowing this to happen? Like, what am I going to do? And I just knew that this whole time I had been trying to do everything myself. I'm not saying I wasn't praying. I'm not saying I didn't have people praying for us, but I was trying to do everything myself. And the one thing I'm going to tell you guys is if you're faithful and you need God to work in your life, He's going to ask you to get out of the way, because He wants to work for you. He wants to do things in your life, and He wants you to be faithful and trust Him. You have to do your part, yes, but you need to get out of the way. Because when we try to control things in our life, we often mess it up, right?
And the thing is, too, like, there are things in life that we want, and, you know, we'll bring them to God, and we'll be like, hey, you know, if at all possible, we want this.
We want that house, that 5-acre,
we want this. We want it. And God will oftentimes say no.
No.
He'll often say no, and sometimes He'll say no by saying not right now.
Yeah.
And as humans, we're very impatient, and we're like, I want it now. I want it now. And we get really stressed out, but God's timing is perfect.
It is.
It's perfect. And the thing is, too, it's like we get to worrying, we get to stressing. We're like, what are we going to do? Oh my God, we don't have time, all this stuff. And then right there, right on time, perfect, exactly when it needs to happen, He moves.
Right.
He's been moving the whole time. He's been slotting the pieces into place the whole time. Yeah. And right when the switch is going to get flipped on, there it is, right there. Yeah. It's all ready to go. And you just had to have faith the whole time.
Right.
You know, and you had to trust Him, and you had to move your, you know, your chess pieces when He told you to move.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And it's so hard too, because oftentimes life is a lesson. Life has so many lessons, and me, I can speak from my experience. I have been very impatient, and I've been like, God, when are you going to move this? When are you going to do this? And the thing is, I don't even understand. I'm in that testing moment right there. God, when is this going to happen? I'm testing you right now. I'm testing you right now.
Patient? Are you trusting?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Are you trusting me right now? Are you praying right now? Have you fully given up all, like, you can do this by yourself, and have you given it to me, right? Like, you can't do this without me, and I will work through you. I will make this possible, right? Like, oftentimes in my own life, I have literally not even realized that I'm in the moment He is trying to get me through. And I'm like, God, oh my, when is it going to happen? He's like, now, right now, but you need to just keep walking. You need to keep running. You need to keep moving, right? You're already there. I'm testing you, And it's like, you have to be patient.
Right.
You have to be patient, man.
So I'm on the drive. It's about a 30-minute drive out to the office. And I'm one where when I'm stressed, I talk and I talk to myself. But when I'm talking to myself, I might be rehearsing something I need to say, but often that's the time I find that I'm also talking to God. And I see that as prayer. And I tell him, I'm frustrated, I'm mad, I'm angry. I don't understand why this is happening. And I'm talking the whole way, and I'm thinking, you never know, people see you talking and they're like, is she talking on her Bluetooth? Is she singing to music? Like, what's this chick's deal, right? Using her hands while you're driving and stuff. But I took that drive and I said, okay, I have tried to do everything I can to make this work. For me, for my mom, for the animals, for the kids, for you guys, for the stream. I've done everything I can. And I feel like I'm failing. I feel like every door is closing. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And I said, fine. I am going to surrender this to you. Fine. I take my hands off. I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I feel like I'm failing. I feel like I'm doing something wrong. Nothing's working out. I don't know where we're going to live. I don't know what we're going to do, but I'm done trying to figure this out because it's obviously not about me. It's got to be about you. And I completely surrendered this. And I said, you have to move. You have to work this because I don't know what else to do. I am so fearful. And I was honest with how I felt. I am afraid for my family. I am afraid for myself, for everything. I am afraid that I'm going to be homeless, that I don't know where I'm going to go. I don't know what I'm going to do. And I said, I completely, totally surrender this area of my life to you. I don't know what else to do. And I went into the meeting. I did the meeting. And then I needed to, Obo again, watching Grandma for me. And I told you guys, she got a little bit harder to take care of. And there were things that I just didn't have a choice. And I needed to go places. And so he was checking on her. Everything seemed to be okay. And I came home and I told her, I said, I need to take a nap. I'm exhausted. I'm tired. And she, I think she was in the wheelchair. And then I don't remember if she tried to get in bed by herself, which was like a big no-no. I didn't want her falling, but she was in bed. She was settled. She was watching TV. And I said, I'm going to lay my head down. I'm going to take a nap. And I think I asked him to keep an eye on her here and there, take the monitor in, whatever. And so I'm resting on the couch and I'm super tired and I'm stressed. And when you're stressed, you're just exhausted, right? You need to sleep and you need that rest. And so I don't know if it was a half an hour, whatever, how long it was. And when I'd always worry about Grandma, I wouldn't sleep as well as I wanted to when I know she's like awake. But
to preface, Grandma Wolf was like Batman. She was always doing stunts
trying to get out of bed.
Like she was hanging on the rail and she was like, justice for Gotham. Like she was looking for crime to fight, man. My grandma.
She wasn't as bad till she moved over here, but there were a couple times she tried to get in bed by herself or get out of bed or at least hang her legs over it. I'm not trying to get out of bed. I'm like,
exactly. Like literally, she's got her legs hanging off the rail and she was like, what are you talking about? I'm not trying to get out of bed. And I'm like, dog, you look like you're ready to go square up. Like, what are you doing?
Right.
She's like, whose legs? My legs? Not mine. Those
aren't my legs.
She did, and the funny thing was, like, it was stressful to deal with, man. It was really stressful to deal with. But God, she was funny, man.
Yeah, she was cool. She
was
really
so
was.
funny, man.
Yeah. So basically, I'm resting and I get woke up by my text message, and I read the text message. And it was from my real estate agent. And she said, congratulations, she accepted your offer. Let me let that marinate for a moment, guys. He accepted an offer.
That was like 46,000 or...
Well, because of the 10.
Yeah,
the 10.
$30,000.
$34,000 less than her asking price during a pandemic when people
in California,
yes, when
with
people
acreage,
are fighting for homes, fighting over homes, outbidding each other, paying over asking price, paying over uh, appraisals, and she accepted $34,000 less. I can't even tell you guys how I felt, but of course, I praised God. I thanked him. And I know he works like that, but he asks us to be faithful.
and I'm actually, so on the topic of God, I'm going to give you guys a great Bible verse. So I'm currently reading the New International Version, the NIV. That's what I read. You can read the the King James version or any version. I personally like the NIV, but it says in Matthew 6:25 through 27, therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life. What will you eat or drink, or about your body what you will wear? Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothes? Look at the birds of the air; they do not sow nor or reap or store away in barns, and yet your heavenly Father still feeds them. Are you not much more valuable than they? Can any one of you, by worrying, add a single hour to your life? And then also, hold on, I got to go to read down to 34. Verse 34, Matthew 6, verse 34. It says, therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. So we're literally in this like limbo state of what are we going to do? We're like trying to control everything. We're frustrated. We're sad. We're crying. We're bawling our eyes out, man. We're just like, we have to move 14 years worth of life. We have to move a disabled relative. We have to move like crazy big furniture. We have to move
all the animals.
100+ animals. We have to all reptiles that all have tanks and lights and heating pads and enclosures and all of this kind of stuff. We got to move the horses that have a massive pin that they need, and the dogs that are going to get stressed out by leaving because all of their sense of security is in this home. New smells, new everything at this new place. They haven't experienced that yet, so they're going to freak out, right? We're thinking of all these things, and we're worried, and we're stressed, and we're fearing. We're, God, what are you doing? And then he says, here. And it's like, it was a surreal moment, man.
It really was.
And
so then I hear this, right? So I hear that she's accepted our offer. Now, mind you, I want you guys to know that she's accepted our offer. My financing still has to go through. The appraisal still has to go through. The inspections have to go through. We're not out of the dark, okay? But at least she's accepted the offer. They did decide to put that it was a pending sale, and they said accepting backup offers. Now, when I saw that, I have to tell you that my heart sank a little bit, because it was like, I can't be strong enough to give them a solid offer that's not going to fall through, because mine's already fell through. What I did find out was that when they had it listed for a higher price earlier, when the son was in control of this home, and it was just a really bad situation. Don't have to get into it, but basically the son was trying to sell the home out from underneath them, and he had it for way too high, and someone had offered them a price and it fell through. So that's when everything came to light of get him out of it, get other family members and a trust together, and all of that. So I would have been the second person whose financing fell through. So of course they're going to set backup offers. They need to sell the home. It was unoccupied. The owner who built it had passed, and the wife had been moved into a retirement community. She's still able to function, but this was too much for her to maintain by herself. So she moved into a retirement community, so the home had been vacant. And they had somebody coming and cleaning it and taking care of the property. So basically, so now we found out she's accepted our offer. So we are... this was my daughter's birthday, and she was at work, and Obo was streaming. Okay. And I decided not to tell my mom. I decided not to tell Obo, and I didn't text sister. And you can imagine the temptation of wanting, because they all knew that we were supposed to hear. So I had said, hey, it was her birthday, and I go, we want to watch Jungle Cruise. It was the Jungle Cruise movie that had just come out onto Disney with Dwayne the Rock Johnson.
Yep.
Okay, so and Emily Blunt, I think.
Yeah.
So we wanted to watch that, and I got a cake for her birthday, and I got her a gift card. I think got her a credit card. Like I was gonna do Lowe's or something, but I was like, I'll just get her a credit card because I don't want her to like figure it out. And so what I did was I had gone to the post office and I wanted to get a change of address form, but they didn't have any. They do it all online. So I got home with the cake and I got home with the gift card, and she wasn't home yet. And I still had not told Obo, and I still had not told Grandma. And I said, we're just going to have dinner. We're going to have the cake. I think I got Boston Market too. That's what I did. I got Boston Market. And we're going to eat, watch a movie, have the cake, and then give her this gift from all of us, right? But I hadn't told anybody. So I went to the computer and I had it hooked up to the printer, and I printed out a change of address form. And I put her name on it, and I put the old address, and then I put the new address at the bottom. And I said, happy birthday, something like congratulations on your new home. And so we got to where we ate Boston Market, we had the cake, and then we're sitting there watching the movie, or I think we're going to get ready to watch the movie, or we just watched the movie. And I gave her the card, or I gave her an envelope, and the envelope had the paper folded, and then it had the gift card on it. So she opens up, she goes, what did you do? Because at the time, money was a little bit tight. We were trying to be careful what we were spending. And she goes, what did you do? Like, we really don't have the money for that. And I go, this is just a little something, for you. And it was $100. But I was like, this is just so that, you can buy some things that you want. And so then she opens it and she goes, well, what is this? Like, she sees the card, and I tell her it's got $100 on it, buy what she wants. And she's like, what's this paper? And I said, open it. Opens it up and reads it, and it just took her a few minutes to look at it. And she read that, and she read the address, and she just started sobbing. And she looked at me and she goes, are you for real? And Obo at that moment and my mom were able to hear that we got the house. And I told her in that moment, and I told Obo, and I told my mom, who, of course, my mom was always very faithful. And I said, this is how he works. And I said, nothing is impossible when God's on your side. And I felt this moment that this whole house thing, everything was going to be impossible. I didn't know what we were going to do. And he showed me the most amazing miracle that he ever could have showed. That he said, I got you. I'm going to take care of you. And he did. He did. So every moment after that was just making sure that all the other details went. So game is still on, right? Okay, when God sends the rain, you don't get to sit back. You still got to tend your field. So I still had to stay on top of the appraiser. My real estate agent was wonderful. She helped me, but I still had to make sure the inspection went through, make sure the septic went through, the pump went through, that everything was okay. All of those passed. Flying colors. The seller fixed a few things. Other things were very minimal. The home came in more than enough of an appraisal, just a little bit over the original asking price. So we were going to come in with equity plus what we needed to have down. We had to really scramble to get the money down, and we had some family gift some money, which helped. But boy, let me tell you what, we cleaned out our bank accounts. We looked at every option we could to make sure that we had the full down payment.
We were basically like, hey, yo, we're about to be eating sandwiches for a while.
Yeah.
Which I have no problem with. I love sandwiches,
Yeah.
okay? My mom was like, hey, I made this elaborate, awesome, dope dinner. And I'm like, sandwiches. Like,
Whatever.
you know what I mean? I don't.
Yeah, I can have sandwiches.
I'm simple, bro. I'm super simple. Like,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
So we had to put all that together. We had to still go through underwriting. They still had to look over all the paperwork and everything. My real estate agent worked very closely with me to just help with each little step and everything that needed to be signed. And then the mortgage gal was great, helped me through every little step, everything I learned about how much you have to put down, what your credit needs to be. Don't touch anything, pay your bills on time, pay these off. You need to have, I think because of the way my credit had dropped, as you guys know, a little bit, Obo and I had to set up a reserve account. So we had to make sure that part of our down payment was in a reserve, or it was extra money in a reserve account. And you had to show bank statements that you have this money. I think it was, we had to have 6 months of mortgage payment saved up. So we had to get that together and show proof. So all those things were very, very stressful. And then got the day that I got the word from the agent and I got the word from the mortgage company. She said, congratulations, your home has been recorded. You are the new owner of this home. And she goes, I'm going to be meeting with you to hand you. And I can't even tell you guys, what this feeling was. And you guys need to know too, that the coolest part about it was even after everything that happened, with all we tried with the mortgage and everything, with having to give her a different offer, we gave her an offer in August, like I said. So we were technically going to have only till the end of September. As she had given us our 60-day notice at the end of July, and we put in an offer. I think it was like July 28th, and we put in an offer on, I think the 2nd or 3rd, something like that. And guys, we closed August 31st. We closed in less than 30 days.
We got the keys on September 1st.
September 1st, yes. So we're going to have a little bit less than 30 days to move. But then the landlord did extend out and say, I'll come like the first week in October. So we had more than 30 days to move. Everything came off with a hitch. Like I think the second night we had the keys, Obo had his stuff packed. He told you guys, I'm going to be off for a couple days. He had his computer packed. Sister brought all his stuff over here with him. We had the internet guy planned to come out the same day. He hooked up, got everything working, tested it, and he was up live and going, was recording. We had him stay here the night to stay in the house. And then we waited till we moved over, waited to move the animals and stuff. But he stayed here for about a week or week and a half by himself. He was streaming, he recorded. If you guys ever want to watch some of that in his YouTube channel, he's got the 3 days, I think, or something. He's got actually a series in there of the 3 days and what the move was and everything he had to do to set up. But you know,
Suki! Hello, what's going on, Suki?
Hi, Suki. Absolutely awesome. And you know, the cool thing that you guys need to know and why I was so happy to do this is we're in August. And so September 1st, we will be celebrating 2 years at this home and 2 years of being able to be a part of your life and on this stream here in the new wolf pack, the new wolf den.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Give me a hug. It was hard, Mom, but we did it.
It was really hard. It really was. And you know, you guys kept our spirits up. Like I said, I can't thank you enough because Obo has been able to be real and be honest about what we've gone through. Like, you know, when I was in ER the first time, when I was ER in the second time, challenges we've had with grandma and
when I was talking about my mental health.
Yeah, exactly. You know, all the things that we've been through and struggles and things that we've been through, you guys have been there for us. And I hope that we have been there for you. I know that you guys mean the world to him. I see it. I hear it every day. when he starts stream, when he ends stream, when he is not streaming. His thoughts are of you guys. I can't even tell you if
Bro,
you
you're trying to
guys
make me
know
cry, man.
how
Yo!
much you mean to him. I will be the first to tell you that he mentions all of you by name. All of you by name. Nikki, Josie, Rise, Suki, Day, all of you guys, Jetpack, Fenny, like Dad Bull, he talks about you guys all the time. And so many more. Chickadee, like, oh my gosh, little monster. I feel like you guys are a part of my family. Like you are, but I feel like I know you because he talks about you so much. And you've welcomed me to be here to talk, to make me feel important. That, I mean, how many moms do you know even want to be a part of this? But some people, you know, in his past would be like, oh my God, your mom is on your stream. Oh my God, your mom, like, right? And you guys are just so welcoming and so awesome. And I just appreciate it so much. We have had so much laughter because of you guys. I know we've shed tears with you, have heard struggles that you guys are going through. It is just absolutely amazing. And I want to thank you for letting us share our experience for this and what we learned, because it was quite a bit. So if anybody is buying a home and needs to know what I know, that's why I was like, hey, this is informative enough. We can share what we went through. But my gosh, if you got a question about buying a home, like, let me tell you what, I got a crash course in buying a home. I might not know everything, but I sure learned a lot in 30 days of what it takes to buy a home. And you know, it's awesome when you can learn stuff like that, because it can help you help other people how to be prepared. And boy, I'll tell you, if I could go back in time knowing what I know now, maybe I wouldn't have learned those things the hard way, but sometimes I would say if I can impart my knowledge to anybody and go, hey, these are the things you want to do to set yourself in a good place to be able to buy a home or to make good investments or make good financial decisions. One person you can learn from for sure is someone who's made good choices, but also when people have made bad choices, you can really learn from people because they've been there and they know what it's like, and they come out on the other side and they can help. Thank you guys very, very much for letting us share this, and thank you for being a part of our life.
And thank you for your time, Ma.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time. Wolfpack,
he wanted to show my guns. I don't know, can you see it?
Yo.
Yeah.
Yo!
See, it's kind of starting to show. See, look at that.
Sheesh, look at my wolf. Look at my wolf, bro. She's getting freaking strong,
I am.
bro. Let me see.
I am.
Come on.
Okay.
Come on. No, yo, give me some. Give me some. Give me some. Come on.
Okay.
Yeah. Dang. Look at that, dude. Golly, can I get your forearms, bro?
You can have my forearms.
I want those, man.
Yeah.
I got some. Listen.
Look at that.
Yeah, bro. Look at what the freak.
Oh,
Let me get your forearms, man. What you need those for? I need those. Let me get those. Let me get those forearms, bro. Come on now. Golly, for real, them forearms are breaking TOS. For real. Yeah. Hey, yo.
I know, right?
Golly.
I got these muscles are shut. Yeah, right.
You're my mom.
I know.
She's literally my mom. We're the same person, dude.
Yeah.
Like
Everybody says that he looks like me, but now with his black hair, he don't look like me. But he does. We still look like we still look like each other. Oh my gosh, this is so much fun. Fun.
Wolfpack, thank you very much for being a part of episode 7 of the podcast, and thank you guys for supporting the journey of making a podcast. Thank you for, oh God, the onions. Thank you for supporting the journey of content creation in the first place, my walk and my path in doing this. Thank you very much for supporting the move of going full time. It was a very scary transition, but I knew my heart was fully in it, and my mom saw that. If you guys don't know this, my mom did not support this originally. She thought
right away.
she kind of thought it was a little bit of a joke. She was like, "You want to stay home and play video games?" But my mom, and actually, I'll explain something really cool to you guys. I learned this from Terry Crews. If you guys know Terry Crews, big actor, big actor. Great movies, great movies. But Terry Crews said that him and his son they at one point in time they didn't have the best relationship. They didn't have the best father-son relationship, and he couldn't really relate to his son. He couldn't really relate to him, and they didn't really have anything in common. Well, his son was gaming. His son was gaming, and his son was, building PCs and doing that kind of stuff. And he thought to himself, he was like, I'm not being the best dad that I can be, and I don't have the relationship with my son that I want. So I'm going to step outside of the box, and I am going to do what it takes to get involved in his life. So he sat down one day and just said, explain this to me, show me what you're doing. And he said his son lit up. He lit up, and they started building PCs together. They started going to LAN events together. And he said, he was like, I see my son's passion and his dream and his wants and his desires. And he was like, I understand it now because I've done it with him. I've sat there while he's building a computer. I've passed him the pieces, and I've screwed in pieces myself, and I've played the games with him split screen and on my own computer. He says, I was a part of his life, and I understand it now. And my mom needed to understand it. She needed to be a part of it to see why this was so important to me. So thank you for being willing to be a part of this, and thank you to the Wolfpack for accepting my mom as well.
Yeah.
I appreciate each and every single one of you guys, and I love you so very much. If we don't have any questions, that is going to conclude this episode, man. Thank you very much for being here.
Yeah,
I appreciate
if you guys have any questions about this process or something we didn't cover, or comments or something, please obviously throw those up there, because I want you guys to participate in this too. This was kind of different because it didn't really end up being more of like a question answer thing. It was more just like the whole process of like what happened, being able to explain really what it took to get moved over here, how scary it was. So we wanted to share that with you guys today on episode of the podcast, and be able to let people know that you can make things happen. It might not always be what you want, but God works in your life, and like I said, not everybody I know maybe believes or has a relationship, and that's okay. We do, and this is what happened for us, and we fully believe that it was a God thing. And I actually, how you guys, he shared multiple times, how really the wolf cat, how the wolf pack really like got made, like more so than just a lot of you that have known him for a while, but really like the whole stream and everything came from the dog attack, to be really serious about getting back into it. And I can tell you that I know he's supposed to be here, and I know that he is supposed to stream for you guys and be there for you, because he could have lost his life in that. It was that serious. And I just thank God every day that he spared his life, and that he is here to share how he spared his life, but how he could be here for you guys. It means the world. And if that whole attack hadn't happened, he might never have come back to streaming. So just as much as, I know we mean to you guys, you mean a lot to us.
You guys are absolutely a part of the family, man.
Yeah.
When I say that, I mean that. You guys are a
Exactly.
part of our family, literally.
Yeah.
So I thank you guys for being here across all of these years. I thank you for supporting the moves and supporting the move. The biggest move as well, man, and helping us find this house as well. Thank you. Thank you very much. Suki says, okay, I have a question for Mama Wolf. Did your mother take the same active interest in your passion when you were younger, and did that relationship influence you, or how you look at obos?
Yes.
Grandma.
Yes, absolutely. My mother was the most incredible mom that you could ever
that is
ask
a
for.
wonderful, wonderful
It's an
question, by the
excellent
way.
question. Excellent question. Um, I can tell you that I do believe that our parents can shape us in good ways and bad. I think that we can still become the most amazing people regardless of how our parents have shaped us, because sometimes a parent can shape you in a bad way and you can become better because of it, or you can have a parent who has shaped you in an amazing way and has encouraged you. In my case, my mom particularly was an incredible mom that supported me in everything I wanted to do. I, even if there were things that she didn't agree on, she was like, she prayed for me all the time. There were things I wanted to do initially. I think I had shared in one that I wanted to go to Santa Barbara and I wanted to be on the sculling team and I wanted to go to the Olympics. And I think when I shared all that with her, I'm sure she had fear because your baby's leaving and you're scared and you don't want them to move out and go away. And, that's really hard as a mom to lose that. But she supported that dream and I let go of that dream. But she supported me in getting married. It wasn't exactly what they wanted, but she was by my side. And when I decided to go into nursing school, she was thrilled. When I passed my board, she was thrilled. When I told her that I was pregnant with sister, Kylie, she was thrilled, absolutely excited. She was here through the journey, everything. Everything that we went through. My mom was just the most incredible person. And obviously, to watch her struggle with dementia and things like that was really tough. Sorry. But she supported my dream. And the best part about her, too, was she supported my kids' dream.
My grandma was really, really freaking cool, man. My grandma came out to paintball events. She got to see me play paintball. She got to
horse shows.
She went to horse shows. She used to take me to karate.
Yep.
I used to go to a taekwondo class, and my grandma used to take me, and she used to say, "Make sure you're studying your forms." And when I was doing well, and I perfected the snapping of the gi because the sensei wanted you to hit the, they wanted to really make sure like you had the perfect form and like you had the sound and the enthusiasm with every move that you were doing. My grandma she supported everything. Yep. She supported the taekwondo. She took me to the skate park and she would congratulate me every time I nailed a new move. Every time I conquered a new drop-in, because I love drop-ins. That I could never really do like stunts and tricks and ollies and kickflips, but I always dropped in. I would go from a really high point and I would drop in and I'd ride the whole like pool or whatever it was. And she would take me. She was the one that got me Skylanders, and that catapulted me into wanting to game. She's the one that got me the amphibians, which then turned into getting reptiles, which then spurred to having Simba and all of the other reptiles.
And we have to share this too. You guys are going to love this. He loved what he did here for you. Just as much as I love you guys and what I bring to this, my mom, his grandma, loved this stream and loved the cosplay. Loved it. And anytime we did the cosplay, we would go show her what he looked like. And we would put the stream on and she would watch him. And if he was a funny character, she would laugh. And you guys, I would type in there that Grandma Wolf was watching, and you guys would say, "Hi, Grandma Wolf," and I would tell her that. She loved it so much. Was the most incredible woman you could ever imagine. I mean, incredible woman. So she shaped me in being a woman of God, mother, the best wife I could be, being kind to people, the nurse that I was, being the most selfless person you could ever meet. And I think that She definitely shaped me and the mother that I wanted to be, and how important it was that when my kids had a dream, even if that dream was scary, and I was like, how are you going to support yourself? Of course, a parent's going to say those things because we don't want our kids to hurt or fall or fail. And we know that we have to, know that we have to fail at something. We just do. All we want to do is pick you up and take care of you and not let you fall and try to fix everything that happens. But we realize that you have to learn from it. And she's watched me fall and fail a lot. But she's also been right there to say, I'm here. I'm here. Even in bed when she was wheelchair bound and bed bound. And I went through this whole process of this home, and I was so upset. I would come to her just in tears. I'm in my 50s, guys, right? You know, and I'm crying, and my mother in her bed would just reach out her arms like this, and she would just wrap her arms around me while she's in bed and go, it's going to be okay. Or we got this. We're going to be okay. So just awesome woman, awesome woman. If you have an opportunity to have anybody like that in your life, you grab hold of them and spend time with them, you know, especially the elderly, because you don't know how much time you have with them. Getting choked up, sorry. But she was incredible. And I promised that when I had children, I was going to support every single thing they wanted to do. I wanted to support them, and I wanted to, I know, sorry, I'm such he's like got me choked up. I'm a sap. Sorry. I cry at Hallmark commercials. I cry at everything. I'm just emotional that way. Yeah.
You are talking about a legend.
Oh God. Yeah. Absolute legend. Absolute. Those people can shape who you are in your life. And I have wanted to be a part of it. And if there's something I don't understand, I've tried really hard to ask the kids to show me, why does this matter to you? Why is this important? So that I can understand. And I want to be a part of it. So as you guys know, but just a couple of weeks ago, we went to a Falling in Reverse concert, and you probably wouldn't expect to see a mom there. You know, I
a Christian mom.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm like, I absolutely love them, and I hear what their music is speaking, and you know, a lot of people, I think, in this world, they're hurting really bad, and it comes out in their music, and they talk about their life, and they just want to share like what this means to me, and you know, I think ultimately our goal in life is we just need to try to be good. If we good, and we can be good for ourselves, but be good to others, and hope that they'll be good back to you. And you're going to have people in life that just are not going to be good. They're just going to choose that, whether they were hurt in life or whatever it might be. I think inside our goal should always be to take care of ourselves and to be good to others. And she set that on that path for me. Such an amazing, giving person. I wanted to follow in her footsteps. And my goal was to teach my kids to be the same. I wanted them to have that same giving, loving care, and to support what their goals and desires are, and to not make it about, oh, is this going to make you enough money? I mean, yeah, we all know. I mean, there's some jobs we do, they may not make a lot of money. And you might be completely reliant on support, like a streamer can, or content creator, you can be completely reliant on the support of your community, or on views, or that kind of thing. And it's hard to, like, you don't want to ask for money, right? You don't want to ask people to do this or that because their lives are so busy. And so that's a big fear of, like, are you going to be able to support yourself? And that's where the trust in him comes in. That's where the faith and trust in God comes in, that if he's meant to do this, then it will provide, it'll work. It'll happen however it is. And my goal was to support him through that, and you guys proved to me with every stream and every moment, you proved to me why he's meant to do, you know, because you guys love him so much, and then what he gives to you, it means so much. I see you all like show up to be here, and I know he's good. and you speak so highly of him, and that just like warms my heart that everybody loves him and what he. Thank you.
Oh my God, man.
I know.
Jesus.
I know, but it's okay because those tears are real, and
Yeah.
and that's important.
Oh man. Thank you, Ma.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys.
Suki says, to leave an impact like that is incredible, and the way you speak about her is so heartwarming. The warmth exists in both of you. You both radiate it and give it to those you touch. Suki also says, Obo, no matter what field he ended up in, was going to be a beacon. I could easily see him working at any business and still being him. He'd still be spreading positivity.
Yep.
The benefit of his current... my brain just stopped working for a second. My brain entirely just stopped working for a second. Dynamic. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, what? I was like, wait, I was like, diaphragm. Like, dynamic. There we go. My brain just completely stopped. Yo, you gotta make a joke out of it. Come on, you know what I mean? Like, you know, you gotta make a joke out of it. You know what I'm saying? Dynamis, the god of confusion. Yes, exactly. I got. You know what I mean? The benefit of this current dynamic is that he gets to do it while also getting the chance to see you so often, and to be able to focus solely on sharing love with others.
Right.
Very true. Very true.
Right.
Very, very true. So
Yeah.
thank you very much, Ma. I
Yeah.
appreciate you. I love you. You got to put those guns away, bro. Golly. Got to put those guns
Like
away,
you said,
man.
the YouTube TOS for guns. Huh?
Golly. Mama's out here showing the freaking
after doing that,
the
a
biceps.
new TOS. Mothers may not show their guns on stream.
She's taking every chance she can to flex on you, bro. She wins every arm wrestling competition, bro. I don't stand a chance. I'm dead serious. She almost broke my arm. Like, she's crazy strong, dude. I don't know how she does it. But if there are no other questions, man, again, Wolfpack, thank you very much for being here today. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for supporting. By the way, Viking, hello! Thank you very much for being a part of this journey over the last 5 years, over the last 3 years of consistency, over the last 2 years of being full-time, inviting my mom in and welcoming her as well, loving the cosplay and all of the variety that we have as well, loving the animals, the reptiles, Simba the chonky boy, man. Thank you. The birthday parties. Thank you for being a part of my life and supporting what I do, what I love. You guys truly have become a vital part of my life, my being, and I know that I was meant to do this. I know that I was meant to do this, and I'm really happy that I get to. So, Wolfpack, thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for your time. Thank you for this day. I look forward to the many more years that we get to do this. And I'm incredibly grateful to be where I am. And through the trials, through the tragedies, through the heartaches, through every possible thing that I have learned and encountered through streaming, through content creation, through my life itself has led me here, and I wouldn't change it, man. I would not change it. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Please be safe, be easy, sleep well if you guys are heading out. Hey, yo! Mama Wolf out here blowing kisses. Golly.
That's right.
Yo, I love you guys so much, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. We'll be live again on Kick tonight. If you guys want to be a part of the stream on Kick, we'll be live in like an hour. But I love you so much. Be easy, take care, sleep well. You guys are incredible. You guys are amazing. Wolfpack. I love you guys so much, man. Deuces.